Chapter 44-24. A somewhat fat 6th-level rebirth tribulation realm demon spirit appeared in front of Kong Shinmu's group of 3. When this fat demon spirit appeared, many people's expressions changed slightly. This fellow looked like the type with extremely thick skin and thick flesh. Chu Qingyun, who was originally extremely depressed after Kong Shinmu killed the three-eyed demon spirit, was instantly overjoyed when he saw this fat demon spirit. This was because this was a defense-type demon spirit. Kong Shinmu had just killed the three-eyed demon spirit, which was truly beyond Chu Qingyun's expectations. This made him extremely depressed, but this was already the result that Mentor Dragon Emperor had arranged for Kong Shinmu. If it wasn't for Mentor Dragon Emperor's arrangement for Kong Shinmu's opponent would have been even weaker. This time, Kong Shinmu would be facing a defense-type demon spirit. This was clearly the result of Mentor Dragon Emperor's deliberate arrangement. It had to be said that since Mentor Dragon Emperor and Chu Qingyun had arranged for Kong Shinmu to fight, they definitely had some understanding of Kong Shinmu's fighting style. It was obvious that Kong Shinmu's fighting style was to rely on his extremely strong defense to resist all of his opponent's attacks. As for Kong Shinmu's group of 3's fighting style, they basically needed Kong Shinmu to devour his opponent's power and then counterattack. Otherwise, it was basically impossible for the 3 of them to kill a demon spirit with their own strength. Previously, when they fought against a low-ranked demon spirit, it was a defense-type demon spirit. Kong Shinmu's group of 3 seemed to have a hard time winning. But now, Kong Shinmu was going to face a 6th-level rebirth tribulation realm demon spirit, and it was a defense-type demon spirit. In this case, how could Kong Shinmu's group of 3 kill this demon spirit? Even if they gave Kong Shinmu and the other 2 unlimited energy, it would be impossible to break through the defense of this intermediate devil spirit. Among the 3 of them, even if Kong Shinmu obtains the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword and can use the power of the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword, it's not a big deal. Don't worry. That white dragon has broken through to the first tier of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, but compared to this devil spirit, it's still 5 tiers lower. It's basically impossible for it to break through its defenses. There's also a fire dragon. Its strength hasn't changed, and the dragon martial skill it is using is still the same origin dragon martial skill, so it isn't much of a threat. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, they still wouldn't be able to kill that middle-rank devil spirit. This was the speculation of everyone present. But what was the truth? Many people were looking forward to the results. It was obvious that Kong Shinmu had disappointed everyone too many times. Many people were used to thinking that Kong Shinmu would definitely lead the team to create a miracle. Do it. When he saw the fat devil spirit, Kong Shinmu attacked without any hesitation. He probably felt that someone seemed to be targeting the 3 of them. If the 3 of them hadn't been prepared, it would have been really difficult to kill this devil spirit. After all, the defensive devil spirit of the 6th tier of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, its defensive ability was too strong. To kill it, it was definitely not something that could be done in a short time. Even now, Kong Shinmu didn't plan to kill it quickly. He could only wear it down bit by bit. Fortunately, Xiao Yuhua had now mastered the advanced origin dragon martial skill and cultivated it to the peak. Moreover, Kong Shinmu could continue to deepen the degree of compatibility with the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword during the battle. Perhaps, I can reach a higher degree of compatibility with the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword in this battle? Kong Shinmu was looking forward to it. Anyway, the appearance of an attack-type devil spirit was not difficult for Kong Shinmu. As for the defensive-type devil spirit, if it was only at the 6th tier of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, Kong Shinmu also had a way to deal with it. At this moment, the fat devil spirit had just appeared, and a burst of devil chi erupted from all over its body. This burst of devil chi spread to the surroundings. This was a devil technique. As the devil chi spread to the surroundings, Kong Shinmu and Xiao Yuhua quickly felt something strange. They felt that when the devil chi approached the divine dragon's body, it seemed to be able to make the divine dragon's body fall into a state of withering and powerlessness. This was actually a dragon martial skill that weakened the opponent. At the same time, the 3 of them directly attacked. Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike. Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword. Kong Shinmu's 6 blood-red dragon breaths directly erupted from the void, broke through the devil chi along the way, and landed on the fat devil spirit. Ask a flower but don't speak, the river turns red. Xiao Yuhua was not in a hurry. She had just cultivated the high-grade origin source dragon martial skill, Phoenix Dance of the Nine Heavens, to the peak of the heaven tier. There was no need to use it so early. This could be used as a trump card at a critical moment. Unless it was necessary, she would not use this move in public. Of course, if there was no other way, she had to use it. No matter what kind of trump card it was, it had to be able to bring benefits to herself. Now that she had killed the 6th-tier devil spirit, she could get more experience points, and her overall strength would become stronger. It was not a big deal to expose her trump card. The red flame that filled the sky swept over, and the fat devil spirit was engulfed in it. This was followed by the white-dressed girl's ice-splitting sky-breaking slash. A cold saber light fell from the sky, and instantly slashed at the fat devil spirit. At this moment, the trio's attacks landed on the fat middle-ranked devil soul's body at almost the same time. Immediately, a burst of incomparably dense demon energy sputtered. However, the trio quickly discovered that after the demon energy sputtered, the fat middle-ranked devil soul didn't suffer any damage. The thick layer of devil chi on its surface was its protective layer. It was almost unimaginably rich. This time, the three people's joint attack could not even break through 1% of it. So strong. Kong Shinmu could not help but sigh. This 6th-tier devil spirit did have some means. Wasn't its defense too strong? Which immoral person had captured it from the void crack? Using this kind of devil spirit to test the students of Yuhing District. This was really too much. It was impossible for anyone to break its defense. However, Kong Shinmu still had a way. He was not in a hurry because he was different from ordinary students. Not only could he recover his strength, but he could also help Xiao Yuhua and Xiao Yuhua recover their strength. As long as he kept wearing down the opponent's devil chi defense, he would be able to kill this fat devil spirit sooner or later. Xiao Yuhua, there's no need to hide. The intensity of our attack is nothing to it. Before we launch the next attack, its devil chi will be completely restored. Kong Shinmu said quickly. N. Xiao Yuhua also nodded. Looking at the incomparably thick layer of devil chi dissipating from the fat devil spirit's body, she felt a little depressed. This kind of opponent really could not arouse any interest in her. However, the attacks of the three people just now had caused the devil chi on the surface of the fat devil spirit's body to dissipate slightly, and it quickly recovered. Chapter 44-25. After Kong Shinmu's reminder, Xiao Yuhua immediately made up her mind. Phoenix Dance burns the 9 heavens. Immediately afterward, Xiao Yuhua's crimson divine dragon body blossomed with phoenix-like flames, and an explosive power swept out at this moment. Together with Kong Shinmu and the white-dressed girl's dragon martial technique, they attacked the fat middle-ranked demon spirit together. The combined strength of the three of them was already comparable to that of a dragon warrior student from the Fecta zone. When they unleashed their combined strength, the dense devilish chi on the surface of the fat intermediate devil spirit was instantly dispersed. And most importantly, after Xiao Yuhua unleashed the Phoenix Dance burns the 9 heavens dragon martial technique, the fat middle-ranked demon spirit was bombarded head-on, and its defense against fire attribute power was greatly weakened. Similar to Kong Shinmu's devouring power, the Phoenix Dance burns the 9 heavens dragon martial technique would corrode the opponent's fire attribute resistance when attacking. In other words, Xiao Yuhua's subsequent attacks would become more and more fatal to the fat middle-ranked demon spirit. Continue, don't stop. Kong Shinmu shouted, and all the power in his body burst out. The devouring power condensed into a blood-red color and burst out. He could devour the opponent's power for his own use, which of course included the opponent's protective demonic aura. Even for Kong Shinmu, devouring the protective demonic aura was a rather slow thing to do. But combined with Xiao Yuhua's attack, it could definitely speed up the process of getting rid of the fat middle-ranked demon spirit. There was also the white-dressed girl's ice-splitting heaven-breaking slash. She had broken through to the reincarnation tribulation realm, and the ice attribute power combined with Xiao Yuhua's Phoenix Dance burns the 9 heavens could produce a strange effect, causing the fat middle-ranked demon spirit to suffer more damage. In just a short moment, the combined power of the three had destroyed more than 10% of the protective demonic aura around the fat middle-ranked demon spirit. Such a situation shocked all the dragon martial artists who were watching the battle. The three of them finally erupted. Kong Shinmu's innate ability is able to directly devour the devil chi protecting the body of that devil. The laughing language flower's Phoenix Dance burning the 9 heavens could corrode the opponent's fire resistance, causing the opponent to suffer more and more severe burns. As for the white-dressed girl, she used an ice-type attack to complement the Laughing Language Flower's Phoenix dance, burning the 9 heavens, causing the opponent's demonic chi to be immediately burned after enduring the extreme cold, creating a stimulating effect of cracking. All kinds of methods were used at once, causing the fat devil's soul to roar in anger. It could feel that its protective demonic energy was constantly being consumed. If this continued, it was very likely that it would die here. At first, it didn't take Kong Shinmu and the other two seriously. After all, their cultivation bases were too low. But now, this fat middle-ranked demon spirit knew that it was facing an extraordinary opponent. After roaring, it finally launched a counterattack. A wave of devil chi surged and spread out from the void. Then, endless devil chi condensed into a long pitch-black claw that extended out from the void and shrouded Kong Shinmu and the other two. The void claws were about to wrap around the three of them. This was a control-type demonic technique. As long as Kong Shinmu and the other two were restrained, the shattered protective demonic energy of the fat devil's soul could quickly recover. However, when those long void claws appeared, a blood-red devouring power immediately greeted them, enveloping those pitch-black void claws. Devour! Kong Shinmu erupted with a terrifying power. The dragon mark blood pendant reflected a blood-red glow on his black dragon body, devouring all the power of those void claws. Although it was the power of a 6th-level Samsara realm middle-ranked demon spirit, it was only a control-type power and not an offensive power. Therefore, Kong Shinmu could completely devour it. Then, counterattack. These void claws appeared out of thin air and swept towards the fat middle-ranked devil's soul, binding his pitch-black body tightly. Countless devil claws prevented the fat middle-ranked devil's soul from moving at all. Kill! Kong Shinmu was pleasantly surprised to find that the power of the opponent's void claws had a certain corrosive effect. This effect slowly corroded the protective demonic energy on the surface of the fat devil soul's body. The corrosive effect was not strong, but the most important thing was that the other party's protective demonic energy could not recover on its own. It really is a counterattack talent. Many dragon martialists watched this scene with complicated expressions. This counterattack talent was too powerful. It could actually counterattack the opponent's power. Didn't this mean that Kong Shinmu was invincible no matter who he met? Unfortunately, their guesses were all wrong. As Kong Shinmu and the other two continued to attack and counterattack with the power of the devil's soul, the situation of the devil's soul became worse and worse. The protective demonic energy on the surface of its body was rapidly worn away. Such a situation caused the surrounding dragon warriors to sigh one after another. It seemed that this fat defensive devil soul couldn't do anything to Kong Shinmu. Wasn't this Kong Shinmu too strong? Jiang Shenwu had actually succeeded in challenging their limits. Furthermore, it was against an opponent that they were the least adept at dealing with. If it had been an attack-type void beast instead, it would probably have been completely destroyed by Jiang Shenwu's counterattack. In comparison, Kong Shinmu really wasn't afraid of attack-type void devils at all. On the contrary, he felt that defensive opponents were more troublesome. Damn it! What the hell is going on? At this moment, seeing that the fat devil soul situation was getting worse and worse, Chu Qingyun, who was hiding in the crowd, was on the verge of breaking down. He knew very well that Kong Shinmu's weakness was that he didn't have a strong offensive ability. But now it seemed that his offensive ability wasn't strong. How could a Yuhing district student have such a terrifying offensive ability? Just based on these offensive methods, Kong Shinmu and the other two were qualified to challenge Yuhing district students. It was even possible that they could all step into Yuhing district. In a short period of time, Kong Shinmu and the other two seemed to have undergone a qualitative change. Of course, what Chu Qingyun didn't know was that Kong Shinmu had always been strong. This time, it was only because he was compatible with the great desolate demon sword that he erupted with the effect of the devouring power. No matter how much Chu Qingyun couldn't believe it, the truth was placed in front of him. This caused his mentality to break down. Originally, he had secretly arranged for Kong Shinmu to fail in his challenge. Then, it wouldn't be considered a huge loss of face for him. In the future, Zhuo Xiaofeng would continue to nurture him, but now. Chapter 44-26. Chu Qingyun was in despair. After this incident, Zhuo Xiaofeng would no longer continue to nurture him. He would have to give all the experience points he obtained from this trial to mentor Dragon Emperor. He would have nothing left for himself. Although the experience points had not been distributed yet, he could still obtain a lot of experience points as someone who could lead a team to challenge the 5th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. It was at least equivalent to the amount he could obtain in the next 3 to 5 years. This amount was not considered much. After all, he had Xueqi's support, so he did not need to worry about any cultivation resources. However, without Xueqi's support, it was impossible for Chu Qingyun to obtain so many cultivation resources in a short period of time. Following this, Chu Qingyun's strength would stagnate for a long period of time. He did not even know if Xueqi would make things difficult for him. As for not fulfilling the agreement and giving the experience points to mentor Dragon Emperor, that was purely impossible. Chu Qingyun only lacked some cultivation resources now, but if this matter was known by the outside world, his entire person would be destroyed. Who would allow him to do such a thing? Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy would definitely not compromise, and Xueqi from Donghuang Yonggu College would not protect him either. His fate could be imagined. Therefore, the experience points had to be given to mentor Dragon Emperor. Chu Qingyun had no other choice. At this moment, Chu Qingyun looked at the battlefield with a dull expression. He watched as the fat middle-rank devil spirit's protective demonic aura became fainter and weaker under the joint attack of Kong Shinmu and the other two. He was looking forward to the fat middle-rank devil spirit exploding once and directly killing Kong Shinmu, but this was undoubtedly just his extravagant hope. Not long after, the situation on the battlefield was settled. The fat middle-rank devil spirit was already at a disadvantage, not to mention that its demonic technique had been counterattacked by Kong Shinmu. It was unable to mobilize all its demonic aura and even caused its protective demonic aura to lose its natural recovery speed. In this way, the disadvantage was even more severe. The fat middle-rank devil spirit was in despair. It was not trained to fight alone. In the end, it was caught and brought to this place. Other than being able to passively resist, it really had no other ability. After about an hour, the protective demonic aura on the surface of the fat middle-rank devil spirit was finally completely destroyed. In the next instant, a torrential barrage of attacks rained down on his demonic body. Although his demonic body wasn't weak, under the barrage of attacks from Jiang Xinwu and the other two, it continued to explode and shatter, dying not long after. As the fat middle-rank devil spirit was killed by Kong Shinmu and the other two, a round of applause erupted outside the battlefield. At this moment, the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy were all congratulating Jiang Xinwu at this moment. Some of them, who were originally worried that Jiang Xinwu would steal his position, were now full of admiration for Jiang Xinwu. With such talent and battle prowess, Jiang Xinwu was a super genius of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. He should occupy a sufficiently high position. As for the students from the other 3 academies, their expressions were ugly. After all, this was an honor that belonged to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy actually had a team from the Yuhing district that challenged the limits of strength and succeeded. This was also the only team that managed to obtain the limit reward. As for those in the Migres district and above, there was no one who managed to reach the limit. Even a genius like Wu Machen could not challenge the limit. When Kong Shinmu brought the 2 girls out, his body was still intact. He was not injured at all. Kong Shinmu's injuries had completely recovered from the battle with the fat middle-rank devil spirit. Congratulations! The beautiful teacher in the red dress, Dragon Emperor, welcomed them. She gave Kong Shinmu and the other 2 an appreciative smile. Kong Shinmu, you are indeed amazing. So far, only your team has completed the limit experience. This experience will end in a few days. I believe that you will become even stronger after obtaining those experience points. It's all thanks to teacher's help. Kong Shinmu did not dare to be arrogant in front of his teacher. Although he looked very impressive now, his actual strength was still far from being comparable to a powerhouse. For example, the teacher in the red dress before him could kill him in one move. Therefore, he was still very polite to his teacher. Moreover, Kong Shinmu had a very polite personality to begin with. His thanks made the teacher in the red dress smile even more beautiful. After Kong Shinmu brought the 2 girls out, he rested at the side. During this period, many students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy came over to befriend Kong Shinmu, as well as Xiao Yu and Hua Machen. The 3 of them also responded casually. Someone is going to challenge the limit again. Before long, before Kong Shinmu's matter was finished being discussed, another piece of news spread. The people who appeared in the training field were Liang Xiao and Ran Ran's team of 5 from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy like Kong Shin-mu. As expected. When Kong Shin-mu saw this scene, he instantly smiled. In fact, Ran Ran had broken through earlier than the 3 of them. After arriving here with Liang Xiao and the others, she had not gone up to challenge the limit. Kong Shin-mu guessed that Ran Ran did not want to steal his limelight. Therefore, she deliberately went up after Kong Shin-mu. This lass. Kong Shin-mu did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, no matter what, now that Ran Ran had also gone up, he had to pay attention to her. Many people in the surroundings had doubts about Ran Ran's strength. However, after Kong Shin-mu successfully completed the limit challenge, many people did not dare to look down on Ran Ran. After all, Ran Ran and Kong Shin-mu had defected from Donghuang Yonggu College. In terms of talent, she should be about the same level as Kong Shin-mu. Many people in the training field were looking forward to it. If Ran Ran successfully challenged the limit again, wouldn't Donghuang Yonggu College be embarrassed? The challenge of the Arcade Zone students was to withstand the attacks of the inferior demon's pawn. The number of attacks they could withstand was the highest score. The limit was to withstand 7 attacks from the inferior demon's pawn. Last time, Ran Ran and the others did not reach the limit, but this time, Kong Shin-mu was not worried about whether Ran Ran could complete the limit challenge at all. If Kong Shin-mu was 90% sure that he could kill the 6th level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm middle level Devil Spirit, then Ran Ran was absolutely 100% sure that she could withstand 7 attacks from the inferior demon's pawn. Kong Shin-mu was very confident in the chaotic dragon body dragon martial technique. Although it was only a body-refining dragon martial technique from the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, if Ran Ran cultivated it to the dragon level, the effect would be completely different. Chapter 44-27. The final result was similar to what Kong Shin-mu had imagined. Ran Ran was not afraid of any attacks from the inferior devil soldiers at all. When she broke through 1 level of cultivation and cultivated her chaotic dragon body to dragon level, it was very difficult for the inferior devil soldiers at the first level of the rebirth tribulation state to hurt her. The most important thing was still the dark dragon filth mastery. Ran Ran's recovery speed in battle was simply too fast. Otherwise, just relying on the dragon-grade chaotic dragon body would not be enough. However, Ran Ran's performance this time caused everyone to be even more shocked and amazed. Kong Shin-mu was slightly better. When Kong Shin-mu fought, he had the support of Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white. In the final battle, all 3 of them were equally important. However, on Ran Ran's side, the entire battle was basically Ran Ran's solo performance. Liang Xiao and the 3 girls only had to watch from the side. Ran Ran could block all the attacks from the inferior devil soldiers alone. No matter how the opponent attacked, she was not afraid. It was obvious that Ran Ran now had defense and recovery abilities that far exceeded the students in the Arcade district. Of course, this was only so eye-catching during the training. The goal of the students in the Arcade district was to survive, so they did not require offensive abilities. The current Ran Ran's offensive ability was still relatively weak. Just relying on the Dark Dragon filth control was not enough for her to challenge the higher-level students. Therefore, although the spectating students were shocked by Ran Ran's strength, they were not too surprised. In a real battle, defense was only one aspect. The most important thing was to kill the enemy. If one could not kill the enemy, everything else was just empty talk. It was obvious that Ran Ran lacked some effective methods to kill the enemy. During the battle, she had also tried to use the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break to deal with the inferior devil soldier, but it did not hurt at all. It was clear that Ran Ran's offensive ability was still slightly weaker. In any case, she only had to resist the attacks from the low-level demon soldiers in this training mission, so it wasn't too big of a problem. In short, there was still a long way to go before the students of the Urakel Zone would truly enter the battlefield of the Void Rift and fight against the Void monsters, so there was no need to rush. 7 days later, the training of the Void Beasts organized by the 4 academies finally came to an end. In the last 3 days of the trial, the strongest students of the 4 academies, including Yu Tianchong, Emperor Qin, and Feng Legay, showed everyone what true strength was. As students of the Dragon Martial Academy, they naturally had the right to train. If they could earn some experience points, it would be a waste not to take it. As the core members of the Dubhe district, their opponents were high-rank demon generals. Every high-ranking demon general could be said to have their own special abilities, and they had a wide variety of methods. After watching for 3 days, the Dragon Warrior students who had participated in the trial felt that their methods were nothing more than small tricks in front of such existences. Even Kong Shinmu felt the same way. His methods seemed very strong in front of middle-rank demon spirits, but they were nothing in front of these high-ranking demon generals. Even if he had the same cultivation level as these high-ranking demon generals, he might not be able to crush them. This was because every high-ranking demon general had some special abilities, and their battles were extremely exciting. Even if they completely crushed these high-ranking demon generals in a head-on battle, these high-ranking demon generals had special methods that could last for a very long time. In other words, they had extremely strong life-saving abilities. If one wanted to kill them, it would be impossible to do so without some special means. When the trial was announced to be over, all the remaining void monsters in this training ground were wiped out. Originally, these void monsters were imprisoned to be used to train the students of the 4 dragon martial academies. But now that the trial was over, there was no need for them to exist anymore. Almost all the students of the 4 dragon martial academies gathered in this starry sky after the trial was over. Then, a ball of flames appeared in the void, and the cry of a phoenix bloomed in the dark void, blocking the extremely hideous void crack in the distant starry sky. A rather slender inferno divine dragon flew out from the flames. Its body was thousands of feet long, and it spanned across the void. Endless flames burned on its body, making it impossible for people to see its actual body. This is a supreme divine dragon. Everyone present was a little shocked. It was the first time most of them had seen the appearance of a supreme divine dragon, or rather, its body. After all, they could only see the rough outline of an inferno divine dragon. They couldn't see its actual appearance at all. However, the suffocating aura of the supreme divine dragon in front of them made everyone in the field nervous. The blood in their bodies seemed to be boiling along with the aura. Emperor Shi. In the field, the students from the 4 dragon martial academies, as well as all the Dragon Emperor instructors, all bowed to the supreme divine dragon at this moment. Their voices were extremely respectful. Obviously, these people had seen the existence of the supreme divine dragon before. That's Emperor Shi. Kong Shinmu's expression changed slightly. Looking at the outline of the inferno divine dragon from afar, he only felt that the flames were simply too beautiful. It was an indescribable feeling. Emperor Shi was the divine dragon, the creator of Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy, and also Yu Yaji's immediate superior. Its status was equivalent to the Blue Sky Dragon of Calamity of Donghuang Yonggu College. In front of Emperor Shi, people like Zhuo Xiaofeng were completely insignificant. It could be seen how distinguished his status and strength were. We don't have much time. Make a long story short. A clear and ethereal female voice came from the void and spread throughout the field. The void demons are invading. We, the dragon martial artists, are responsible for blocking the demons outside. We hereby hold this trial. In this trial, many talented juniors have emerged. I am very pleased. Each of you will be able to obtain the required trial points. I hope that you can grow faster and become the main force in fighting against the void demons. The voice was sonorous and powerful, but it was not loud. It seemed to directly hit the hearts of everyone present, deeply affecting them. Hearing this, a voice suddenly came from the field. It was Kong Shinmu. He asked loudly, Emperor Shi. This time, the void demons appeared from the crack. Could it be that even people as strong as you are unable to seal the crack in the void? You are Kong Shinmu. Emperor Shi seemed to have noticed Kong Shinmu. The eyes of the divine dragon in the flames glanced in Kong Shinmu's direction. With the experience points, most of the students would choose to exchange them for heavenly treasures to raise their cultivation and increase the Dragon Mark energy faster. In the Dragon Force Academy, other than absorbing the Dragon Mark energy, there were also supreme treasures that contained the Dragon Mark energy. These supreme treasures were also a type of cultivation resource. However, these cultivation resources weren't of much use in normal times. After all, the price to exchange for them was high and the effects weren't very good. If the experience points obtained from the 7 days of training were used to exchange for cultivation resources, it would only save a dragon martial artist 7 days of time to absorb the Dragon Mark energy. In other words, it would be a waste of time. It would be better to just stay in the Dragon Force Academy and absorb the Dragon Mark energy. But now, the experience of the void monsters was different. In just a short month, The majority of the students could obtain experience points that would take years to obtain. Some of the students whose divine dragon blood essence had reached the Dragon King level and were very close to the Dragon Emperor level were likely to exchange for cultivation resources that contained the Dragon Mark energy. All of a sudden, he had saved several years of hard work. In other words, they could break through to the Dragon Emperor level in an instant and complete the greatest transformation of a dragon martial artist's cultivation. No matter what, Kong Shinmu wouldn't exchange for such cultivation resources. Even if he wasn't the Dragon Emperor, it wouldn't be too difficult for him to deal with the Dragon Emperor. Ordinary Dragon Emperors at the first or second stage of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm were no longer his match. When he exchanged for a high-grade Origin Dragon martial skill and succeeded in cultivating it, even a third-stage Reincarnation Tribulation realm Dragon Emperor wouldn't be his match. He would be able to face such an existence head-on. As long as that was the case, he would definitely be able to enter the core area in the upcoming Academy tournament and have more Dragon Mark energy to absorb. In that case, there was no need for him to be in a hurry. The demand for Origin Dragon martial skills shouldn't be high. After all, although many people have obtained quite a lot, it's still not enough to exchange for a high-grade Origin Dragon martial skill. As for me, I might be able to exchange for 2 high-grade Origin Dragon martial skills. After all, I haven't exchanged for an Origin Dragon martial skill since joining Emperor Shi Academy. The first time I exchange for an Origin Dragon martial skill, there will be a certain discount. Kong Shinmu thought in his heart. In the following period of time, all the students of Dragon Martial Academy would rapidly improve together. This was a leap for all the students of the 4 great Dragon Martial Academies. Perhaps only one person wouldn't be able to enjoy this leap, and that was Donghuang Yonggu Academy's Chu Qingyun. However, this guy could be considered to have reaped what he had sown. Now, he could only watch as others rapidly improved while he could only give his reward points to the Dragon Emperor of another academy. This made Chu Qingyun so angry that he was about to die. So many experience points, it's simply too awesome. Yeah. For a moment, I don't know how to use them. With so many experience points, it can at least double my strength. If we use these experience points well, it's possible for our strength to increase by 2 times. There's less than half a year left before the next Academy tournament. We have to make the best use of our time. After all the students of Dragon Martial Academy returned to their respective academies, they were incomparably busy. The busiest one was the Dragon Emperor of the Experience Points Exchange Office. Because he couldn't handle it alone, he temporarily transferred other Dragon Emperor instructors to help him. Chapter 44-29. Kong Shinmu went to the Source Dragon Martial Technique Collection at the Experience Points Exchange Office alone. This was an independent room. Now, there was a Dragon Emperor mentor guarding it. It's quiet here. Kong Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief as soon as he entered. When he first entered the Experience Points Exchange Office, it could be said to be a sea of people. The hall, which was not big to begin with, was filled with Dragon Martial Artist students who came to exchange for cultivation resources. When those Dragon Martial Artist students saw Kong Shinmu coming over, they all came up to greet him. Their enthusiasm was too much for him to handle. It couldn't be helped. During this experience points, Kong Shinmu had been in the limelight too much. Not to mention Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Even if he went to the South Emperor and the desolate North Dragon Martial Academies, there would be many people who admired him. Therefore, Kong Shinmu ran inside as if he was fleeing. Soon, he arrived at the place where he could exchange for the Dragon Martial Technique. It's quiet, but it's also quite boring. When he heard Kong Shinmu's words, he immediately heard a soft voice. He looked in the direction of the voice and saw a beautiful woman dressed in revealing clothes. She was in the room trimming her nails in boredom. At the same time, she looked at Kong Shinmu curiously and said, "You are that Kong Shinmu? I heard that even Emperor Shi personally answered your question." Cough cough. Kong Shinmu did not think that this was a big deal. He immediately replied, "Hello, mentor. Emperor Shi is very easygoing, right? No matter who asks a question, Emperor Shi will answer them." That's different. If others ask a question, Emperor Shi will just answer them. "But you," the beautiful woman laughed softly and said, "Emperor Shi personally called out your name. It can be seen that you are different from others. And now, you are indeed different. Others are not interested in the Dragon Martial Technique, but you want to exchange for the Source Dragon Martial Technique?" "That's right. Kong Shinmu could only nod. Now, things were different from usual. Many Dragon Emperor teachers who were cultivating in seclusion had come out. For example, this beautiful teacher in revealing clothes in front of him. Kong Shinmu did not know who she was. He had never seen her before. In the Dragon Emperor Dragon Martial Academy, many of the Dragon Emperor instructors were beautiful women. Basically, 9 out of 10 of them were women. This was similar to the ratio of students. I want to find some high-level body-refining dragon martial skills. Kong Shinmu asked. This is my first time exchanging. There should be a discount, right? There are not many people who practice body-tempering dragon martial techniques. Hence, the amount of experience points required is not much. The beautiful instructor said. Furthermore, Emperor Shi personally instructed that if you choose to exchange for a dragon martial technique this time, you will be given 2 dragon martial techniques. You can choose 2 different types. Is there such a thing? Kong Shinmu was a little surprised. It's absolutely true. The beautiful instructor giggled and said, if you choose a body-tempering dragon martial technique, it would be a pity. However, in this case, I can return some experience points to you. You can use them to exchange for cultivation resources. Thank you, Senior. Kong Shinmu said gratefully. You're welcome. If you want to thank someone, thank Emperor Shi. There aren't many body-refining dragon martial arts techniques in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, and most of them aren't suitable for you guys to cultivate. However, there's one that seems to be suitable. Following that, Kong Shinmu followed the beautiful instructor to the place where the body-tempering dragon martial technique was located. There were very few people who came to this place. Furthermore, there were not many body-tempering dragon martial techniques. There were only 5 high-grade body-tempering dragon martial techniques in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, and 4 of them were suitable for girls to cultivate. However, the remaining one made Kong Shinmu fall in love with it at first glance. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. The name of this body-refining dragon martial technique was extraordinary. Furthermore, looking at the introduction, it was not just a body-tempering dragon martial technique. It could also strengthen the various abilities of dragon martial artists. After mastering the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, the dragon martial artist could switch between the 3 states of offense, defense, and dexterity. In the offense state, the attacking ability of the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique would be strengthened, and the explosive power would increase greatly. In the defense state, all the power of the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique would be converted to defense. This would strengthen the defense of the dragon martial artist by several times. In addition, the dexterity state used the power of the Tyrant Body Technique to increase the speed of the dragon martial artist. This was the high-level body-refining dragon martial technique that Kong Shinmu needed. Originally, if he specialized in the body-tempering dragon martial technique, he would undoubtedly be lacking in terms of attack. However, after cultivating the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, as long as he was in the offense state, his explosive power would be greatly enhanced. This was what he needed. Furthermore, the defense state could also increase the strength of his body. This was very suitable for Kong Shinmu. I'm sure. I'll take this one. Kong Shinmu said with certainty. Then you better think it through. The beautiful mentor smiled and said, this Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique is extremely difficult to cultivate. Furthermore, it requires a lot of cultivation resources. After all, it is a high-level body-refining dragon martial technique. This level of body-tempering dragon martial technique is extremely difficult to cultivate. Otherwise, why would such a strong dragon martial technique be unsought? The last student of Emperor Shi who chose this Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique was said to have become a super divine dragon. That was decades ago. Even that genius student was said to have spent 10 years to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique to the heaven tier. You can imagine the difficulty of cultivating it. Thank you for the reminder, mentor. Kong Shinmu said respectfully. He still took the jade scroll that recorded the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Without a doubt, the more difficult it was to cultivate a dragon martial technique, the stronger it was. Kong Shinmu was very sure of this. He had saved up so many experience points to exchange for the strongest dragon martial technique. For this, he had already prepared himself for the difficulty of cultivating it. Furthermore, he cultivated the body-tempering dragon martial technique, which gave him an advantage that others could not hope to achieve. Even if it was that genius student who spent 10 years cultivating the divine dragon tyrant body art, in terms of cultivating body-refining dragon-type martial techniques, his talent was probably not comparable to Jiang Xinwu's. After all, Kong Xinmu had the talent of devouring. With this talent, his recovery speed could reach the peak. As long as he did not die, as long as he still had a breath left, he could recover quickly. Furthermore, his recovery speed was extremely fast, even faster than the peak heaven-tier dark dragon filth mastery. This was a condition that no one else could compare to. Kong Xinmu believed that he would not need as long as 10 years to cultivate the divine dragon tyrant body technique to the peak. Furthermore, now that he had a batch of experience points, it was much easier to obtain various cultivation resources than before. I'll choose another body-tempering dragon martial technique. Chapter 44-30. The dragon movement technique was also something that Kong Xinmu wanted to cultivate. It could be imagined that now that the crack in the void had appeared and the void beasts had invaded this world, as a student of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, he would most likely participate in the fight against the void beasts. That would definitely not be like this training, where he would be allowed to fight the beasts in a safe place. Instead, he would be brought to the vicinity of the crack in the void to hunt down the void beasts that roamed the void. That was an extremely dangerous operation. Kong Xinmu might encounter the strongest of the void beasts. If that was the case, he would not be a match for the other party at all. Therefore, at this time, the speed of his escape was especially important. As long as he could run fast, he could escape even if he could not defeat the beasts. However, if he did not cultivate the dragon movement technique, he would not be able to escape even if he wanted to. That would be tragic. It was very likely that he would be killed near the crack in the void. For Kong Xinmu, it was useless even if he had the devouring nirvana force. In front of an enemy that was several times stronger than him, his devouring nirvana force would be useless. He could only let the black dragon's consciousness appear at the moment of his death. But that was not what Kong Xinmu wanted. After all, Kong Xinmu still did not understand what the black dragon's consciousness represented. Once the black dragon's consciousness was harmful, the more it appeared, the more danger Kong Xinmu would be in. It was very likely that after the black dragon's consciousness was fully awakened, it would devour Kong Xinmu's consciousness. Kong Xinmu could not come into contact with this kind of danger. Therefore, he tried his best to let the black dragon's consciousness fall into a deep sleep. Even when he broke through his cultivation realm, he would return to the sealing dragon abyss. That was why the black dragon's consciousness did not appear. Otherwise, every time he broke through, the black dragon's consciousness would appear and devour the nirvana beast. That situation would be very bad for Kong Xinmu. The dragon movement technique. There are many options for me to choose from. The beautiful instructor smiled and led Kong Xinmu to another place where the origin dragon martial skill was stored. There was a total of 14 high-grade origin dragon martial techniques, much more than the body-tempering dragon martial techniques. Every movement dragon martial technique had its own specialties. Unfortunately, among these movement dragon martial techniques, 7 of them were specially prepared for women. Kong Xinmu was unable to cultivate them. He could only choose from the other 7 dragon movement techniques. He deliberated for around 2 hours before finally deciding that the movement dragon martial skill he chose would be called the Blade Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash. Sun Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash was a high-grade dragon martial skill. After practicing this dragon martial skill, it would allow a dragon martial artist to gain the ability to perceive the void. And after successfully practicing this dragon martial skill, one could use this ability to perceive the void to leap in the void. In other words, he could teleport directly in the void. This kind of movement technique that was similar to a dragon's martial technique was extremely difficult to cultivate. It was especially so if one wanted to learn it. It was not that easy. However, Jiang Xinwu believed that his talent was not too bad. What others could learn, he could definitely learn too. It was not to the extent that he could not even get started. And if the Blade Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash was cultivated to the dragon level, or even the heaven level, he could completely survive in the void and disappear from the real world for a period of time. This was an even more heaven-defying method. It was conceivable that Kong Xinmu could rely on this method to sneak into the void. At that time, if he wanted to escape, he could directly sneak into the void. No one would be able to find him, unless it was an existence who also cultivated a similar method to perceive the void. Moreover, his cultivation realm must be much higher than Kong Xinmu's. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Blade Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash. 2 high-grade Origin Source Dragon Martial Skills. Since you have chosen them, take them and cultivate first. After saying this, the beautiful mentor suddenly said, "Oh right, you have to exchange for 3 special treasures to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Those treasures are not cheap. Work hard. If you do not have enough experience points, I'm afraid you will not be able to improve your Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Of course, the experience points returned to you now are enough for you to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique to the entry level and reach the mortal level. The experience points you will need from now on will be even more. It is no less than you need to exchange for another high-grade Origin Source Dragon Martial Skill." "Thank you for the reminder, Mentor." Kong Shinmu nodded and took the 2 high-grade Origin Source Dragon Martial Skills. At the same time, he went outside to exchange for the 3 special cultivation resources that the mentor mentioned. He had never seen these 3 special cultivation resources before. They seemed to be from some kind of demonic beast, but he had not even heard of this kind of demonic beast. No matter what, now that Kong Shinmu had exchanged for 2 high-grade Origin Source Dragon Martial Skills, the next step was to cultivate them and make a leap in his strength. Work hard. Kong Shinmu knew that he was still a long way from becoming a real powerful dragon martial artist. Therefore he had to put in more effort to catch up with those geniuses, such as Yu Tianchong, Emperor Qin, and Feng Ligei. If Kong Shinmu did not work hard, he might not be able to catch up with them for the rest of his life. But he had the power of devouring nirvana. As long as he did not slack off, it was only a matter of time before he caught up with them. In fact, Kong Shinmu might even reach the Super Divine Dragon level earlier than them. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. I need these 3 cultivation resources at the beginning of my cultivation. Kong Shinmu looked at the 3 cultivation resources in his hand. These 3 cultivation resources were a piece of scale, a hard horn, and a soft tentacle. They all came from the same species of demonic beast, known as the prehistoric tyrant body beast. Kong Shinmu had never heard of this prehistoric tyrant body beast, so it was probably not a species from the dragon martial continent. It was very likely that this prehistoric tyrant body beast came from outside the dragon martial continent, so the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique was created because of this prehistoric tyrant body beast. There were no such cultivation resources in the dragon martial continent. Only the higher-ups of the Dragon Martial Academy, or even someone like Yu Yaji, the dean, could get resources from other places and provide them to the students who cultivated the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. No matter where they come from, I just need to cultivate them first. Kong Shinmu prepared the 3 cultivation resources and placed the scale, hard horn, and tentacle in one place. Then, he covered them with his devouring power and prepared to slowly devour all the energy within. At the same time, he sank his divine sense into the jade scroll that recorded the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, to check the key points and techniques that he needed to remember to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. The cultivation of high-grade source dragon martial techniques mainly relied on comprehension at the beginning, so it was naturally rather boring. While the other Dragon Martial Academy students were starting to break through their cultivation levels and raise the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence, Kong Shinmu began the long process of cultivating the Dragon Martial techniques. Chapter 44-31. 5 months later. Kong Shinmu returned from the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty and returned to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. To him, these 5 months had been a period of great change. He first used 3 months to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, and then used 2 months to cultivate the Sunset Shadow Flowing Flash. It took him nearly half a year to cultivate the 2 advanced Source Dragon Martial techniques to the human level. However, even if he only cultivated the 2 Dragon Martial techniques to the human level, it still made his combat power soar. First of all, the strength of his Divine Dragon Body was directly doubled. The successful cultivation of the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique allowed his Divine Dragon Body's defense to reach a new height. His dragon scales were already attached with the power of the Tyrant Body, allowing him to resist the opponent's attack with the power of the Tyrant Body. At the same time, he could already switch between the 3 postures, which were the Power Attack posture, the Defense posture, and the Nimble posture. Although it was only the human-level Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, the benefits of switching between the 3 postures were not too high. It was already enough to more than double his explosive power, defense, and speed. Every move of the advanced Source Dragon Martial Technique was condensed from the efforts and wisdom of countless senior dragon martial artists. For example, the Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens cultivated by Xueqi could weaken the opponent's fire resistance, which could show extremely terrifying effects in a protracted battle. To be honest, Xueqi's Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens contributed greatly to Kong Xinmu and the other two being able to kill the fat 6th-tier intermediate devil spirit. And now, Kong Xinmu had successfully cultivated the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body technique. Although he was only at the human level, it also more than doubled his combat power. At the same time, the success of cultivating the Sunset Shadow Flowing Flash also allowed him to see the door of the void. He could feel the power of the void and shuttle through the void in a short period of time. Now, Kong Xinmu could stay in the void for a breath's time at most, and he could shuttle a distance of 10,000 feet in one go, which was almost the length of the divine dragon body of 10 Dragon Emperor powerhouses. This distance was enough to escape the attack range of the opponents he would encounter at this stage. However, this was far from enough, because if he were to deal with the void monsters near the void rift, he might encounter existences that far surpassed him. If he wanted to escape, then he would have to cultivate the Blade Shadow Flowing Sunset Flash to a higher level. Of course, there was no rush. Although it was only a matter of time before they encountered the demonic creatures in the void crack, it was still too early for the students of the Yuhing district. Over the past 5 months, some news had spread from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. In this year's academy tournament, there would indeed be some changes to the student zones. And it wasn't as the rumors said, where the number of students in each zone would be doubled. Instead, it had become 3 times its original size. Originally, there were 3 students in the Heaven Pivot area, but now there were 9. Originally, there were 7 students in the Tianxian section, but now there are 21 students. The Fecta zone and the Migres zone, which used to have 9 and 15 people respectively, had now become 27 and 45 people respectively. Including Yuhing district and Kaiyang district, the quota would be reduced from 15 to 45. In this way, if the first 6 zones were added together, there would be close to 200 people. This had already exceeded the number of students in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Therefore, if this was really the case, then all the students in the Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy would be able to leave the Alcade zone. How much Dragon Mark energy has been sent over? Kong Xinmu was a little emotional. The reason for the zones was that the Dragon Mark energy was too little. However, such a change was definitely because the Supreme Divine Dragon had brought more Dragon Mark energy, so that all the students could enjoy more Dragon Mark energy. In addition, it was said that the 4 great Dragon Martial Arts Academies were about to be open to the public. The requirements to join the Dragon Martial Arts Academy had been lowered, but the age requirement was still the same as before. As long as one was over 30 years old, they would not be able to join the Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Although Kong Xinmu had been cultivating the Dragon Martial Arts technique in seclusion, he had also heard about these rumors. Because of this, Kong Xinmu began to consider how far he could go. It turned out that he was confident that he could join the Migres zone and become a student there. Then his battle prowess would at least be in the top 34 in the Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Now, the Dubhe zone and Tianxian zone had exactly 30 spots. If I work hard, I might be able to join the Tianxian zone directly. But I heard that the students in the Dubhe and Tianxian zones have to leave the Dragon Martial Continent and head to the Void Camp to fight against the Void monsters. The current me is still not suitable to face the Void monsters head-on. So, I should stabilize the Dubhe zone first. When I reach the Dubhe zone, the speed at which I devour the Dragon Mark energy will be at least twice as fast as the current Yuhing zone. Then, I will charge towards the Dragon Emperor. This was Kong Xinmu's plan. Compared to the others, Kong Xinmu had a very clear goal. He would wait until he became stronger before taking the risk. Before reaching the Tianxian zone, he could still go to the Beast Abyss to earn a huge amount of experience points. Now that the students in the Dubhe zone and Tianxian zone had been forcefully sent to the Void Camp, there were fewer students in the Beast Abyss. If Kong Xinmu were to enter, he would definitely be the strongest. Originally, students like Wu Machin were considered strong in the Beast Abyss. But now, Wu Machin can definitely step into the Tianxian zone and even the Dubhe zone. So the strongest in the Beast Abyss are the students in the Dubhe zone. When I reach the level of the Dragon Emperor, I can easily dominate the entire Beast Abyss. At that time, it would be easy for Kong Xinmu to earn experience points. The Void monsters from the Void Crack could be said to be an unforeseen event in the Dragon Martial Continent. But from this unforeseen event, Kong Xinmu could also find the most suitable path for his own development. After spending 5 months to successfully cultivate the 2 dragon martial techniques, he returned to the Dragon Emperor Empire. Of course, he went through the demonic beast formation in the boundary forest. Although it was a little roundabout, it saved Kong Xinmu a lot of time. He couldn't ask Dean Yu Yaji for help every time he went back. This time, he successfully broke through to the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm and condensed the Nirvana power again. His current combat strength could be said to have increased by at least 2 or 3 times compared to when he was training in the void. If he had the same experience as before, he would dare to challenge the 7th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Superior Devil Spirit. It was a pity that there was only one experience. It was for the sake of students like them to improve quickly. However, the Dubhe zone is not considered too weak. It's not that easy to step into the Tianxian zone. I have improved a lot this time, and so have the others. It's not that easy to enter the top 30 of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. After all, I haven't even reached the level of the Dragon Emperor. Kong Xinmu didn't think too much about it. Chapter 44-32. After returning to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, Kong Xinmu realized that there were many new faces in the academy. The atmosphere in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy was much more lively than before. New students are here? Kong Xinmu was a little puzzled. He saw some young sacred dragon martial artists flying around. Some were alone, and some were in groups. They were curious about everything around them. These are the new students who just arrived yesterday. There are a total of 100 of them. They are good seedlings that the 3 Dragon Emperor mentors found in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy a few months ago. A young man in golden armor suddenly appeared beside Kong Xinmu. He smiled and said, "Brother Jiang, although these people are talented, they are still lacking compared to the original students. Aren't we able to enter the core area? Look, the new students can only stay in the Alcade district for now. I heard that we'll have 100 new students every year in the future. If this goes on, the number of students in the Dragon Martial Academy will increase by several times in a few years." The young man in golden armor was Liang Xiao. This kid's strength had increased rapidly recently. The key was his cultivation level. He broke through 3 tiers in one go and reached the 9th tier of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Even in the previous districts, he could have reached the level of the Yuhing district. Now he was even more powerful. Of course, after the students had gone through the demonic beast training, each of them had improved a lot. Some geniuses were able to travel between the 2 zones, like Jiang Shenwu. This time, he could definitely enter the Fecta zone directly from the Yuhing zone, bypassing the Migres zone. Liang Xiao could cross from the Alcade district to the Yuhing district, skipping the Kaiyang district. There were also people like Ran Ran who could directly break through from the Alcade district to the Migres district. She was only 1 district lower than Kong Xinmu. This 1 district was a difference of 30 ranks. To put it simply, the current Ran Ran and the previous Kong Xinmu were not far apart in terms of battle prowess. The current Ran Ran had not only reached the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, but she had also cultivated the chaotic dragon body to the heaven tier. Apart from that, she had also exchanged for an attack-type high-grade origin source dragon martial skill. Although she had not successfully cultivated it yet, just by relying on her heaven-level chaotic dragon body, she was able to enter the ranks of the Migres area. After observing for a while, Kong Xinmu realized that the new students of the Dragon Martial Academy basically all had Holy Dragon Legacy blood essence. Logically speaking, a 20-year-old Shenglong was already considered a top-notch genius in the outside world, but in the Dragon Martial Academy, he was only average. They didn't think so. Kong Xinmu even felt that some of them were a little arrogant. I heard that a few secluded Dragon Martial Artist clans have also sent their good seedlings to our Dragon Martial Academy. We need to pay attention to these clans. Suddenly, Liang Xiao looked at a group of Dragon Martial Artists flying in the distance and said in a low voice, "These secluded Dragon Martial Artist clans have quite a good cultivation environment. They even have quite a lot of Dragon Mark energy. If it wasn't for the Dragon Martial Academy's enrollment expansion, these clans wouldn't have sent their good seedlings. After all, the conditions in their clans aren't any worse than our academies. They might not even have as many resources as before. But it's different now. While the 4 Dragon Martial Academies are expanding, they've also increased their investment in the Dragon Martial Academy. The cultivation resources they provide have increased by at least 5 times. Therefore, these clans can only send their juniors to the Dragon Martial Academy. If they continue to be complacent, their clans will soon be left behind by the entire Dragon Martial continent's younger generation. When Kong Shinmu heard that, he looked at the group of young dragon martial artists flying in the distance. The group of young dragon martial artists was led by a pair of princes. Behind them were more than 10 sacred dragon geniuses. Only the 2 princes had inherited blood essence at the level of the Dragon King. Moreover, they seemed to be at the pinnacle of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. In Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, this strength was equivalent to the strength of the Yuhing District students. However, they were part of the newly recruited 100 students. The secluded dragon martial artist clans from the Dragon Martial Continent. Kong Shinmu didn't expect there to be such a force in the Dragon Martial Continent. It seemed that the Dragon Martial Continent wasn't as simple as it seemed. There were still some hidden powerful existences. Dragon martial artist clans that had dragon mark energy for their juniors to cultivate were likely to have reached the level of a super divine dragon. Otherwise, it would be impossible for an ordinary dragon emperor to obtain pure dragon mark energy. Now that Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy had more resources, these clans would send their juniors to the academy to cultivate. They had their eyes on the academy's cultivation resources. Us 2 brothers can make a bet. That Lady Ran is indeed a beauty capable of causing the downfall of a city. However, there is no need for us to fight until our heads bleed. The group of dragon martial artists flew over. At the same time, one of the 2 princes said with an indifferent expression, "How about this? Let's follow the rules. Let's see who can step into the Tianxian district first. The one who goes to the void to cultivate will be qualified to be with Lady Ran. What do you think?" "That's good. However, young Master Gu, don't play any tricks." The other princes looked equally indifferent. "Who doesn't know that you, young Master Gu, like to play tricks? Don't embarrass us and let Lady Ran laugh at us." "Princes, it is said that Lady Ran has a very powerful Kong Shinmu supporting her. Rumor has it that Kong Shinmu is a peerless genius who attracted the attention of Emperor Shi." One of the followers behind them suddenly said, "What Kong Shinmu? It's just that we didn't come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have anything to do with it." One of the princes laughed. It was obvious that he didn't take Kong Shinmu seriously at all. It seemed that in their eyes, the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy were nothing at all. It was as if they came from a hidden dragon martial artist family. Now that they came to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, they should be able to dominate the academy. Their words surprised Kong Shinmu. These 2 princes were very arrogant, and they even dared to have ideas about Ran. These guys don't know how high the sky is. Kong Shinmu didn't say much. He just casually said a few words to Liang Xiao and remembered the faces of the 2 princes. If there was a chance, it would be good to teach them a lesson. Chapter 44-33. Kong Shinmu did not start a conflict with them on the spot. After all, there was no need for that. The academy tournament was about to begin. It was better to fight during the tournament than in private. After all, there was no benefit to him in private. Instead, it would be a waste of his time. The 2 young masters brought a group of people with them as they walked past Jiang Shenwu and Liang Xiao. They did not recognize Jiang Shenwu, and only grinned at the 2 of them, allowing them to clearly feel the disdain they had for the students of the Dragon Martial Academy. They really don't know their place. Liang Xiao looked at their backs as they left and immediately said hatefully, "Wait until the academy tournament. If I don't beat them up, I won't be able to vent my hatred." Brother Jiang, one of the princes, is called 9th Young Master Gu. He's the son of the clan leader of the Gu clan's hidden dragons. The other one's surname is Liang. He's the son of the clan leader of the Liang clan's hidden dragons. These 2 people's talent is really average. The cultivation resources of their hidden dragon clan, especially the position of the clan head's son, are definitely no less than the ordinary students of our academy. However, judging from their current cultivation realm, they are not very powerful. I heard that the hidden dragon martial artist clan has not produced any talented juniors for many years. Kong Shinmu nodded as he listened. If the most talented ones in the hidden dragon martial artist clan were young Master Liang and 9th Young Master Gu, then there was no need to worry too much. However, there are still 2 powerhouses from the hidden dragon martial artist clan, who joined Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. One of them is ninth young Master Gu's cousin. She has the blood essence of the divine dragon of the Dragon Emperor level, and is in the 7th stage of the rebirth state. The other one is also a woman. I heard that her cultivation realm is similar to second young Lady Gu's. It's very likely that she will make it to the Heavenly Jade Zone or even the Heavenly Center Zone in the Academy tournament. Jiang Xinwu heard it and remembered it in his heart. Second Lady Gu and the other woman were likely to be competitors that he would have to face in the future. He had to keep them in mind. As for ninth young Master Gu and young Master Liang, Kong Xinmu could not be bothered with them. The Dragon King, who was at the peak of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, posed no threat to Kong Xinmu at all. Even if he did not transform into his divine dragon form, Kong Xinmu would not be able to do anything to him. Kong Xinmu returned to his palace and rested for a while. Then, he heard some movements at the entrance of the palace. Is Ran Ran here? His heart skipped a beat. He seemed to have sensed Ran Ran's aura, so he got up and walked out. As he neared the entrance of the palace, he could hear a commotion from afar. However, the commotion wasn't loud, as if they didn't dare to be too loud. Ran Ran's voice was also mixed in, as if she was scolding someone. When Kong Xinmu opened the palace door, he immediately saw Ran Ran, who was wearing a tight black dress and had a graceful figure. She was looking coldly at the people behind her. Ran Ran, is this the Kong Xinmu, big brother Jiang that you were talking about? A young master's voice reached Kong Xinmu's ears directly. This voice had a tinge of arrogance and disdain. It seems that this Kong Xinmu has divine dragon blood at the level of the Dragon King. Is he at the 7th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm? I'm not saying this, but I can fight as many of these things as they come. This young master was ninth young Master Gu, whom Kong Xinmu had just met. However, young Master Liang was nowhere to be seen. Behind ninth young Master Gu were a few new students from outside. They were originally geniuses from the Dragon Emperor's kingdom, but now they were following ninth young Master Gu and were willing to be his followers. When ninth young Master Gu said this, Ran Ran coldly scolded in a low voice. Shut up! People like you are not qualified to be mentioned in the same breath as Big Brother Jiang. Go in. Kong Xinmu glanced at the group of people, but he wasn't angry. He said calmly, they don't have the ability to barge into my palace. Out of sight, out of mind. Everything will be settled during the Academy's competition. As soon as he finished speaking, Kong Xinmu led Ran Ran into the palace, and the palace door closed with a bang. In the student palaces of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, every palace was protected by a protective array. No student could break through the array with brute force and barge into the palace. After Kong Xinmu led Ran Ran into the palace and disappeared, ninth young Master Gu was so angry that his teeth itched. His handsome face was distorted from anger. In his opinion, Kong Xinmu brought Ran Ran into the palace. What good could they do there? They must be doing something that couldn't be seen. Damn it! Ran Ran is such a beauty. How could she let this trash take advantage of her? Ninth young Master Gu snorted coldly. He was so angry that his body trembled. He had always felt that Kong Xinmu was trash. After coming to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, he had heard many rumors about Kong Xinmu. For example, when he was training with demonic creatures, he led a team to kill a 6th-stage reincarnation tribulation realm middle-level devil spirit. He was the best among the students of the 4 Dragon Martial Arts Academies. However, he had also seen Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white. He felt that they were so powerful that even he was no match for them. Therefore, ninth young Master Gu naturally felt that Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white had helped Kong Xinmu during the training. Otherwise, it was impossible for Kong Xinmu to create such a miracle alone. At the same time, ninth young Master Gu was very displeased. Both Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white were top-notch beauties in the world. Their cultivation talents were also top-notch in the world. They were the most suitable candidates for his future wife. However, why did they all have something to do with Kong Xinmu? Ninth young Master Gu could not understand. He had thought that Kong Xinmu was extremely good-looking. He had just taken a look at him and realized that he was just Azo. He was not good-looking at all. How did Kong Xinmu gain the favor of so many beauties? Alright, if that's the case, let's see who's more powerful in the college tournament. I want to see how powerful Kong Xinmu is. Ninth young Master Gu really could not barge into Kong Xinmu's palace. He could only turn around and leave angrily. When he thought that Ran Ran and Kong Shinmu were in the same room, he was so angry that he trembled. He wanted to tear Kong Shinmu into pieces on the spot. It was a pity that he had come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. He naturally knew the rules of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. He could not be as arrogant and lawless as he was when he was in the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts clan. Otherwise, there would be people who could teach him a lesson. He left angrily. The lackeys behind him followed one after another, and began to use the most vicious words to belittle Jiang Shenwu and Ran Ran. They called them adulterous couple, whore, animal. All sorts of terms were used, which allowed young Master Gu Jiu to vent his anger. Let's wait and see. The college tournament will start soon. I want to see how strong this guy is. It's best if we make a bet. Let's see if this coward dares to bet with me. Ninth young Master Gu was so angry that he almost died today. Chapter 44-34. During the 5 months that Kong Shinmu was cultivating in seclusion, Ran Ran was not idle either. It could be said that her current strength was on par with the original Kong Shinmu. The students had gained a lot from this demonic training. In the palace, Kong Shinmu and Ran Ran had a good chat, mainly about the chaotic dragon body. Unfortunately, the 2 advanced source dragon martial techniques that Kong Shinmu had just cultivated were only at the human level. He could not teach them to Ran Ran. Fortunately, Ran Ran had exchanged for an advanced source dragon martial technique. She had yet to cultivate it. Once she succeeded, her techniques would definitely not be weak. She was not like the Laughing Flower, who had obsessive-compulsive disorder. The Laughing Flower was a dragon martial technique. If one did not cultivate it to the peak of the heaven level, it would not be used in public. It was fine for Ran Ran. Even though she had just cultivated the advanced source dragon martial technique, its power was far beyond the peak of the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. In the palace, Kong Shinmu and Ran Ran sparred a few times. After sparring a few times, Kong Shinmu had a better understanding of Ran Ran's current strength. It was obvious that after she came to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, her improvement did not decrease. Instead, it was greater than when she was at Donghuang Yonggu College. This made Kong Shinmu feel gratified. After all, he was the reason that Ran Ran could only come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. If it affected her cultivation development, Kong Shinmu would feel bad. After sparring, Ran Ran's strength had skyrocketed. This made Kong Shinmu feel at ease. The competition is in a few days. I should rest well and absorb the energy of the dragon mark. Kong Shinmu was in a relatively relaxed state. The competition was about to begin. It would be difficult for him to make any major improvements in a short time. He should rest well and ensure that he was in good condition. This process was the time for Kong Shinmu to absorb the energy of the dragon mark. He continued to fuse with the dragon mark blood pendant and absorb the energy of the dragon mark at 10 times the speed. After the competition, the speed of absorbing the dragon mark energy will skyrocket. At least, it will reach the level of the Fekta district. The concentration of the dragon mark energy will be much higher than here. Kong Shinmu was looking forward to that day, because it meant that he could reach the dragon monarch level of divine dragon blood essence as soon as possible. It was a great transformation from Dragon King to Dragon Emperor. Unfortunately, he needed to absorb too much dragon mark energy during this period. Judging from the current concentration of dragon mark energy around Jiang Shenwu, even if he absorbed it 10 times faster, it would still take him several years to reach Dragon Emperor. However, if he were to reach the Fekta region, it would only take him a few years. Of course, this was on the premise that he did not encounter a bottleneck in the advancement of the divine dragon blood essence. At the Dragon King stage, this kind of bottleneck was already very dangerous. Once a bottleneck appeared, and one could not break through to the Dragon King level, then the distance between the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon King would be further and further. Generally speaking, a bottleneck would gradually appear from the 6th to the 7th level of the Dragon King. This made Kong Shinmu rather concerned. He did not know how talented he was in raising the grade of the mystical dragon blood. He was currently at the 6th level of the Dragon King. If there was a bottleneck, it would be difficult for him. Of course, he could only take it one step at a time. There was no point in talking about this now. Maybe there is no bottleneck at all. Kong Shinmu comforted himself. Anyway, this thing depended on the individual. With the talent he had always shown,
It was normal for him to have a bottleneck only after reaching the level of the Dragon Emperor.
5 days later. The Academy tournament of the new Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy was finally about to officially begin. The reason why it was called a new Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy was that at the current stage, Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy suddenly had an additional 100 genius students. It could really be considered a new Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, the 4 major Dragon Martial Academies were like this now. This was to deal with the crisis of the invasion of the Void Beasts. The hidden Dragon Martial Artist clans basically all knew about this matter. As for the genius Dragon Martial Artists selected from the Dragon Emperor's kingdom, they naturally knew about this after arriving at the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. When they communicated with their respective Dragon Emperor's kingdom, they would also inform them of the situation. From this, it could be seen that the news spread like wildfire. Very soon, this matter would be known to the rest of the Dragon Martial continent. For ordinary people, it didn't matter if they knew or not. It didn't affect them much. Anyway, at the current stage, there were many powerful Dragon Martial Artists guarding the Void Chasm, including the deans of the 4 major Dragon Martial Academies. They were super mystical dragons. If even they could not guard the Void Chasm and allowed the Void Beasts to escape, then there was no existence in the Dragon Martial continent that could stop them. To put it bluntly, they could only wait for death. In the central square of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy, there was a hubbub of voices. Compared to the previous Academy tournaments, this could be said to be the most lively one. In the future, it would get more and more lively every year. After all, if they were to recruit 100 people every year, the overall scale of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy would get bigger and bigger. At this moment, on the seats around the central square, the students were sitting in 2s and 3s. This was different from the genius trial that Ran had participated in previously. The spectators for this academy tournament were all students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Even though there were more than 100 people now, overall, the number of spectators was not that many. It was very different from the scene of the tens of thousands of spectators when the genius trial was held in the city below. This was not the first time that Kong Xin-mu participated in the academy tournament. Thinking back to when he was in Donghuang Yonggu College, he wanted to break through to the Yuhing district, but he was targeted by Zhou Xiaofeng. Every time, his opponent would secretly become stronger, which made Kong Xin-mu feel very uncomfortable. However, this time, he believed that such a situation would not happen. This was the first time that Kong Xin-mu participated in the academy tournament after coming to the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. He participated as a student of the Yuhing district. As usual, the academy tournament would start from the core area. First, the core members of the Tianshu district would be decided. Originally, the Tianshu district only had 3 spots, but now according to the official rules, the Tianshu district would have 9 spots. The rules of the academy tournament this time were slightly different from the previous ones. The core students of the Tianshu district would first decide on the basic spots, then challenge these 9 spots. Originally, there were 7 people in the Tianxian district, and 3 people in the Tianshu district. Therefore, only 1 student from the Tianxian district could not join the Tianshu district. This had to be decided through a tournament. After the decision was made, only then would other people be allowed to challenge the students from the Tianshu district and change their spots. This process was different from the previous ones. This time, anyone could challenge any student from the Tianshu district. As long as they won, they could join the Tianshu district. Chapter 44-35. The students of the Dubhe district were the goal of everyone in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Those who surpassed the Dubhe district were the mentors of the Dragon Emperor. Therefore, the students of the Dubhe district were the strongest students in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. As long as one was qualified to enter the Dubhe district, he would be considered a top-notch powerhouse in the entire Dragon Martial continent. He could do whatever he wanted in the Dragon Martial continent. Even some of the Dragon Emperor powerhouses from the Dragon Emperor country were no match for the students of the Dubhe district. Of course, the students of the Dubhe district would not be above the 7th level of the Rebirth realm. They could fight against an ordinary Dragon Emperor who was at the peak of the Rebirth realm with their own strength. After all, their Dragon Emperor level Divine Dragon Blood Essence had reached the 3rd or even the 4th level. They were much stronger than ordinary Dragon Emperor powerhouses from the Dragon Emperor country. In this battle for the Dubhe district, everyone paid the most attention to Feng Ligay, the strongest powerhouse, and Gu Yuxing, who came from the hidden dragon martial artist family. She was also known as Second Lady Gu. The cultivators from the hidden dragon martial artist clan were the ones who received the most attention. Everyone wanted to know the difference between the hidden dragon martial artists and the original students of Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy. Or perhaps they could suppress the original students of Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy. Many new students of the Dragon Martial Academy hoped that the hidden dragon martial artists could defeat some of the original students of the Dragon Martial Academy so that they could integrate into Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy. They did not really look down on the original students of Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy. But the key was that the original students basically did not think highly of the new students. They had a contemptuous attitude. Therefore, the opposition between the two sides was born. Kong Xinmu did not look down on these students. However, if these students wanted to cause trouble, he would not let them off easily. As for the competition, he would head for the Dubhe district. He would defeat any dragon martial artist who stood in his way, be they old or new students. As for the Dubhe district, he would not consider it for the time being. Once he reached the Dubhe district, he would be forced to go to the battlefield. Kong Xinmu felt that he was not ready yet. There were many places where he was not strong enough to deal with dangerous situations. The key was still to cultivate the blade shadow flowing sunset flash to a higher level. This was his life-saving method. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if the black dragon's consciousness came out at the critical moment. There was a hubbub of voices in the square. Originally, the 7 students of the Jade District would compete with each other for the 6 spots to enter the Heaven Center District. There were a total of 6 battles. In any case, the weakest would be eliminated. The rules were very simple, and the battles progressed relatively quickly. These were all top-notch experts from Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy. Usually when they were training and in the Beast Abyss, they knew each other very well. After testing each other a little and seeing that they were not a match for each other, they immediately gave up. However, the further the battle went, the more intense it became. Because no one wanted to be the weakest and be eliminated from the Heaven Center District. Therefore, once they lost 2 rounds in a row, they would start to panic and would erupt with even greater strength. Naturally, the students who went up afterwards would not be willing to lose. Originally, there were 5 females and 2 males in the Heaven Center District of Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy. When it came to the last round, it turned out to be a battle between 2 men. One of them was the last one to fight, and the other one lost 2 rounds in a row and fell to the last round. This time, whoever loses will have to stay in the Tianxian area. Of course, there was still a chance to challenge the students of the Heaven Center District later. However, if he lost this round, it was basically impossible for him to challenge the students of the Heaven Center District in the future. The 3rd level of the Dragon Emperor, the 5th level of the Rebirth Calamity State. Kong Xinmu looked at the dragon martial artists fighting in the square and could not help but feel a little emotional. These dragon martial artists had been in the Dragon Martial Academy for a long time, but they also had enough talent. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to reach such a level. One should know that Dragon Emperor Yen was directly stuck at the level of the Dragon Emperor Blood Essence and could not improve. To be able to break through to the 3rd level of the Dragon Emperor Divine Dragon Blood Essence, they were naturally very strong. And these were the weakest students in the Jade District. Of course, now that there were 9 places in the Heaven Center District and 21 places in the Jade District, the current students in the Jade District would definitely be weaker than the previous students in the Jade District. Of course, it was hard to say. After all, the students in the Jade District had obtained a lot of cultivation resources from the demonic beast training. Although the number of places had increased, everyone's strength had also increased a lot. In comparison, the average strength of the students in each district would not be much weaker than before. The fierce competition between the students in the Jade District attracted many people's attention, and they all felt a little emotional. The Dragon Emperor was a truly powerful dragon martial artist. And if they wanted to become a Dragon Emperor, they had to join the core district of the Academy as soon as possible, so that the Dragon Mark energy would be more. I have to join the Fecta district. Kong Xinmu thought to himself. Currently, there was still a gap between his strength and the strength of the Jade District, but it should not be too big of a problem for the Fecta District. After all, the number of places in the Jade District had increased. The overall strength of each district would still be weaker than before. Although there were a lot of points awarded for this training, it was not enough for everyone to reach the level of the next district. The strength of the Fecta District was about the 1st level of the Dragon Emperor, at most the 2nd level of the Blood Essence, and the 3rd level of the Reincarnation State. Kong Shinmu could still try to fight against an opponent of this level. So the goal of the Fecta district was not impossible for Kong Shinmu to achieve. Dragon roars kept erupting in the field, and the two male students in the Jade district fought in full swing. This not only concerned whether they could join the Heaven Center district, but also a matter of face. Anyway, Kong Shinmu did not know these two people. But looking at the seats in the field, many people kept cheering, and it was obvious that these two people had a high reputation among the students. As long as one stayed in the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy for a few years, basically all the students in the Heaven Center district and the Jade district would know each other. Unfortunately, Kong Shinmu had just arrived, so naturally he did not know them. Soon, one of them won, and the other left the field dejectedly. In the midst of the cheers, the competition for the places in the Heaven Center district of the Academy competition ended. Next was the challenge round. Because there were 100 new students, so for the sake of fairness, each student had 3 chances to challenge, so that they could roughly estimate their strength and position. Therefore, at this time, many students were looking forward to this. Now, there must be some strong people planning to challenge the strongest person in the Heaven Center district. Chapter 44-36. It was also the first time that Kong Shinmu was watching a competition at Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Previously, when he was at Donghuang Yonggu College, he had seen the battles between Emperor Qin, Yu Tianchong, and others from Donghuang Yonggu College. I wonder between Feng Ligay and Yu Tianchong, who is stronger? Kong Shinmu squinted his eyes and thought to himself. However, even if Feng Ligay was stronger than Yu Tianchong, it did not mean that Yu Tianchong was weaker than Feng Ligay. After all, 1 or 2 years had passed, and no one knew how strong Yu Tianchong was now. If he wanted to see Yu Tianchong's current strength, he would have to go near the crack in the void and see her battle with the void monsters. This was too dangerous for Kong Shinmu. At present, there was no need to go to the crack in the void to fight. At the very least, he had to cultivate the wind shadow flowing cloud flash to a higher level. At this moment, everyone in the field was looking forward to the second young lady Gu Yuxing, from the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts family. Gu Yuxing was said to have the same terrifying talent and strength as Feng Ligay. This time, she came to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy because she was recommended by the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts family so that she could obtain more cultivation resources in the Dragon Martial Arts Academy. This was basically a battle that everyone was looking forward to. The strongest genius from the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts family against the strongest genius from the former Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, Gu Yuxing, dressed in white, walked up from below the stage. Looking at her appearance, she was also a stunning beauty, but her expression was a little too cold, making people not have the slightest thought of approaching her. As expected, she is at the 4th level of the Dragon Emperor, and the 7th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. She is exactly the same as Feng Ligay. This was the first time that Kong Shinmu saw Gu Yuxing, and his expression changed slightly. If he had only seen 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang, he would have thought that the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts family was only at this level. However, after seeing Gu Yuxing, he realized that the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts family of Hakuin was indeed strong. This was clearly not the first time Gu Yuxing and Feng Ligay had met. Feng Ligay's expression was calm. Dressed in red, he appeared gentle and approachable. In Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, Feng Ligay was the genius student in the Dubhe district who was the easiest to talk to. The other students basically ignored him. On the other hand, although Feng Ligay was the strongest and the most talented, he was still the kinda person. Neither of them spoke. Principal Yu Yaji was still in charge of the academy competition. It was said that the inter-academy tournament of the 4 great dragon martial academies would be held at the same time. However, due to the appearance of the spatial crack this time around, there had to be at least 2 deans of the 4 great dragon martial academies guarding the spatial crack. Therefore, Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy and the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy were holding the academy tournament, while the East Imperial Academy and the South the Arch Academy's academy tournament had been postponed. However, this did not affect the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy much. Without the supervision of a super mystical dragon, there might not be anyone who could hold the fort in such an inter-academy tournament. One had to know that Feng Ligay and Gu Yuxing were powerful beings who could even defeat some of the Dragon Emperor mentors. Their level was not just any ordinary level. Chapter 44-37. The battles over the next few days were relatively normal, and no one paid much attention to them. After all, geniuses from the Hidden Dragon clan like Gu Yusheng were rare. Apart from Gu Yusheng, there was only one other woman who had joined Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Basically, she had challenged the weakest male student in the Tianshu district and successfully entered the Tianshu district. But in reality, this woman's strength was far inferior to Gu Yusheng and Feng Ligay. If it weren't for the expansion of the Tianshu district from 3 to 9 people, she definitely wouldn't have been able to enter. Apart from Gu Yusheng and this woman, the other new students from the Hidden Dragon clan weren't particularly strong. Basically, they could only reach the standard of the Tianji district and the Migres district. These new students from the Hidden Dragon clan were Kong Shinmu's opponents. Among them was young Master Gu Jiu. In the next 2 days, the candidates for the Tianshu district were decided, and then the 21 candidates for the Tianxian district were decided. On the 3rd day, the candidates for the Tianji district were decided. And this was Kong Shinmu's goal. The Tianji district could be said to be the middle-level students of Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. There was a large number of Dragon Martial Arts Academy students in this area. In particular, the points awarded from the experience with the Void Beasts had greatly improved many people's cultivation. Kong Shinmu had originally thought that he would be able to enter the Tianji district easily, but now he wasn't so sure. On one hand, there were still a few strong people among the students from the Hidden Dragon clan. On the other hand, the other old students had also greatly improved after the experience with the Void Beasts. Although their improvement definitely couldn't compare to Kong Shinmu's breakthrough, it was obvious that no one was standing still. Some students were originally stronger than Kong Shinmu, and by a lot. Now that they had improved, they might be able to defeat the current Kong Shinmu. The Tianji district trial begins. First, the previous Migres district students will fill in the spots, and then the challenges will begin. Dean Yuyaji soon announced the start of the Fekta region trial. Yuyaji secretly looked at Kong Shinmu. She originally thought that Kong Shinmu was going to challenge Tianxian, but she found that Kong Shinmu didn't seem to be confident. He didn't make a move during the Tianxian challenge yesterday. In fact, it was not that Kong Shinmu couldn't beat anyone in the Jade district, but he felt that if he wanted to beat an opponent in the Jade district, he would have to use some trump cards, and these trump cards were not necessary to be used normally. Most importantly, he did not want to go to Tianxian district yet. Being able to dominate the Fekta district was not bad at all. Soon, 6 hours of spectating and waiting had passed, and it was already afternoon. The Fekta Zone challenge phase was about to begin. This was only the preliminary confirmation of the Fekta region's spots. Only after the afternoon's worth of challenges would the final 27 spots in the Fekta region be decided. I challenged Qian Bing. When the challenge phase began, Kong Shinmu did not hesitate at all. He directly went up the stage, intending to challenge an old student. This Qian Bing, nicknamed White Scorpion, was said to have secretly harmed many Dragon Martial Artist students. Although no one was killed, the Dragon Martial Artist students who were harmed suffered heavy losses. Kong Shinmu originally didn't know who he was going to challenge, but this White Scorpion Qian Bing had been secretly observing him since the beginning, which made him feel a little anxious. The first time he heard this name and nickname was when he went to war to train and killed the Swift Shadow Meteor Dragon. It was said that White Scorpion Qian Bing was a Migres district student at that time, but she was almost killed by the Swift Meteor Dragon. But in the end, the Swift Meteor Dragon was killed by Kong Shinmu alone. At that time, Kong Shinmu had just come to Emperor Xi Dragon Martial Arts Academy and was nominally a Yuhing district student. How could Qian Bing tolerate this? At that time, Xiao Yuhua reminded Kong Shinmu and asked Kong Shinmu to be a little more careful. But after that, Kong Shinmu either stayed in seclusion or trained with demons. As for breaking through to the next realm and returning to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, Qian Bing naturally wouldn't find trouble with Kong Shinmu. So all this time, White Scorpion Qian Bing had probably been suppressing a belly full of anger. This also caused White Scorpion Qian Bing to frequently look in Kong Shinmu's direction during the battle just now, as if provoking him to go up on stage. White Scorpion Qian Bing was originally a Migres district student, but now she had moved to the Fekta district. She had also achieved pretty good results during the last training with the demons in the void. Now that half a year had passed, she had improved considerably. The current Qian Bing had the first level of the Dragon Emperor's Divine Dragon Blood Essence, and had reached the 3rd level of the Rebirth Realm. From this aspect, It could be seen that she was many times stronger than Jiang Xinwu. But Kong Xinmu wasn't afraid. The current Kong Xinmu was several levels stronger than when he had been training with the demons. Even if Qian Bing had reached the Dragon Emperor dynasty and the third level of the Rebirth Realm, she was still not the limit that Kong Xinmu could deal with. At least, Kong Xinmu could easily devour the other party's power for his own use. That was enough. No matter what, this Qian Bing couldn't defeat Kong Xinmu. Kong Xinmu had such confidence. After shouting out his challenge target, he was arranged by Yu Yaji to go up on the stage. All the surrounding dragon warriors sized him up with strange gazes. It was obvious that many of these dragon warriors didn't know Kong Xinmu. Only the old students were not surprised that Kong Xinmu stood up. However, they were still looking forward to it, and some of them were worried. After all, on the surface, Kong Xinmu only had the 6th level of the Dragon King Divine Dragon Blood Essence, and his cultivation was only at the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. There was a difference of 5 levels of cultivation, and there was even a major realm between them. As for the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence, the Dragon King was facing the Dragon Emperor. The disadvantage was too great. Although Kong Xinmu had created some miracles time and time again, but could Kong Xinmu really be a match for White Scorpion Qian Bing? Seeing Kong Xinmu go up on stage, some of the new students from the Hidden World Dragon Warrior families were extremely surprised, and even started to mock him. The grand competition battles they had seen before were basically evenly matched. Even if there was a winner, it was not because of the realm of cultivation or the grade of the Divine Dragon's blood essence, but because of actual combat experience, innate talents, and so on. There had never been anyone like Kong Xinmu, who challenged his opponent in a situation where there was such a huge difference on the surface. Basically, it was just the strong challenging the weak, wanting to rise to a higher cultivation area. How could there be someone like Kong Xinmu? Very good, this Kong Xinmu is very courageous. Chapter 44-38. Kong Xinmu stepped onto the stage. I admire your courage. White Scorpion Qian Bing was already waiting for Kong Xinmu on the stage. Her expression was cold, and she looked like a cold beauty. However, there was a hint of disdain in the depths of her eyes. She had long disliked Kong Xinmu. When Kong Xinmu killed the swift meteor dragon of Thunderbolt Dragon Country during the war, Qian Bing couldn't even raise her head in front of her sisters. She had lost a lot of face. If it wasn't for the fact that she didn't have the chance, she would have made a move against Jiang Xinwu long ago. In the end, she never imagined that Jiang Xinwu would actually dare to challenge her in the academy competition. This had truly exceeded her expectations, and it caused her to laugh coldly without end. She felt that Jiang Xinwu was truly audacious. Unfortunately, I'm not a man without brains. Kong Xinmu faced White Scorpion Qian Bing and said calmly, "Let's begin." As soon as he finished speaking, he transformed into his black dragon form. The 500 Zhonglong Dragon King body burst out from the stage. White Scorpion Qian Bing didn't hesitate at all. She transformed into a snow-white dragon. The dragon scales all over her body were covered with mysterious patterns. She looked like a vicious scorpion, and there was a sinister aura in between the patterns. Qian Bing's dragon essence blood was inherited from the White Scorpion god's venomous dragon. This was why she was called the White Scorpion. Not only was the aura of the divine dragon's essence and blood sinister, but even her personality was as sinister as the White Scorpion. This was why many students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy were afraid of being associated with her. As the dragon forms of both sides appeared, a conflict was about to break out. Extreme cold poison cloud break. White Scorpion sneered. The dragon roared angrily, and a surge of reincarnation power erupted from the dragon's body. It condensed into a snow-white poisonous cloud that instantly spread toward Kong Xinmu. Kong Xinmu swung his dragon tail, followed by the wind shadow flowing cloud flash. This dragon martial technique exploded. Swoosh! In an instant, his black dragon form disappeared from the stage and appeared directly behind White Scorpion. It's the blade shadow flowing cloud flash. This scene was seen by many people in the surroundings, and they were all extremely shocked. The shadowy blade flowing cloud flash was one of the powerful dragon martial arts techniques of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. In order to successfully cultivate it, one must have a certain level of comprehension of the void. Otherwise, it would be impossible to successfully cultivate it. This was also a high-grade source dragon martial technique. It turns out that the reward that Kong Shinmu obtained from the demonic creatures was used to exchange for the blade shadow flowing sunset flash. Then his cultivation speed is really quite fast. In a short few months, he has already successfully mastered the blade shadow flowing sunset flash. Judging from his performance, although this move is only at the level of human level, it's not too far away from the level of earth level. Kong Shinmu dodged the opponent's extreme cold poison cloud break. The snow-white poison cloud, which carried an icy chill, directly bombarded the protective barrier of the arena, causing the entire arena to tremble. Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike. After Kong Shinmu dodged his opponent's attack, he took advantage of the fact that his opponent had not reacted and directly performed an offensive dragon martial arts technique on his opponent's back. At the same time, he also erupted the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword and integrated it. The blood-red Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike condensed into 6 beams of dragon's breath. In an instant, they erupted from the mouths of the 6 surrounding black dragon shadows and swept towards Qian Bing's snow-white divine dragon body. Qian Bing had just performed her extreme cold poison cloud break. Although she realized that Kong Shinmu had dodged her attack, she really did not have a good defensive preparation. 9th Heaven Poison Cloud Barrier. In a hurry, Qian Bing executed a mid-grade origin source dragon martial technique. A layer of snow-white poisonous cloud barrier extended from her divine dragon body and shielded her dragon body from the outside world. The 9th Heaven Poison Cloud Barrier, this middle-grade source dragon martial technique, had been cultivated by Qian Bing to the peak of heaven level. Even if she performed it in a hurry, it had at least 70% defensive power. Even if Kong Shinmu used the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword, he would not be able to break through her strong defense. After all, compared to Kong Shinmu, Qian Bing's divine dragon blood essence was of the Dragon Emperor grade. Moreover, she had already reached the 3rd stage of the rebirth realm. With such a cultivation realm, in terms of basic strength, she was definitely much stronger than Kong Shinmu. The defensive dragon martial arts technique that she casually performed was not something that Kong Shinmu could easily break through. Moreover, when she broke through to the rebirth realm, her white scorpion god venomous dragon power already carried an extremely strong corrosive power. When this corrosive power came into contact with Kong Shinmu's attack, it was actually unstoppable. It completely corroded Kong Shinmu's Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike until it completely disappeared from the battlefield. Impressive! Kong Shinmu narrowed his eyes. This white scorpion god venomous dragon's divine dragon blood essence was indeed different from some of the powers that he had seen before. However, no one noticed that unknowingly, a lot of pitch-black devouring power had already spread out from Kong Shinmu's body. Moreover, it was the blood-red power of the dragon-scarred blood pendant. Under the cover of the dragon-scarred blood pendant's power, this devouring power was like a small snake that pierced through the void. Without any warning, it seeped into the opponent's white scorpion god venomous dragon power. Whether it was the 9 Heavens Poison Cloud Barrier or the extreme cold poison cloud break that she had previously used to attack the defensive barrier, they had all become Kong Shinmu's devouring targets. This power, Kong Shinmu could completely devour and use it for himself. You have the talent to counterattack. Unfortunately, before you use my power to counterattack, have you ever thought about the special characteristics of the white scorpion god venomous dragon? Seeing this, Qian Bing did not panic at all. She sneered, the white scorpion god venomous dragon has absolute poison resistance. It can be said that it is impervious to all poisons. Because of this, the blood essence of our white scorpion god venomous dragon is the most suitable to increase the poison contained in one's power. Now, among the reincarnation power that I have unleashed, there are many poisons that originally did not belong to my talent. However, they exist within my power. I have the body of the white scorpion god venomous dragon, which is why I am immune to these poisons. As for you, even if you can use my power to counterattack, your body will be the first to bear the attack of these poisons. I know that you have cultivated a body-tempering dragon martial technique. However, I want to see if you can really withstand the power of my poison. Qian Bing laughed coldly. She did not care about Kong Shinmu's actions. She immediately raised her hand, and the white poison cloud that filled the sky bloomed in an instant. It swept towards Kong Shinmu's black dragon body. Moreover, this time, the white poison cloud that filled the sky seemed to explode in all directions in the entire arena. Even if Kong Shinmu wanted to dodge, There was simply no place for him to do so. He could only face her crazy poison attack head-on. Poison! I wonder if the power of your poison can break through my divine dragon tyrant body technique. When Kong Shinmu heard Qianbing's words, he did not care at all. His chaotic dragon body and divine dragon tyrant body technique had resistance to all elemental powers. Chapter 44-39. Kong Shinmu's innate ability of devouring, after fusing with the power of the Dragon Scar blood pendant, could devour the opponent's power for his own use. Most importantly, it relied on the strength of his divine dragon body. Therefore, after Kong Shinmu cultivated the divine dragon tyrant body art, he was able to devour energy and become stronger. In order for Kong Shinmu to devour his opponent's strength, he had to first harm his own divine dragon body. This was exactly as Qianbing had thought. However, Kong Shinmu was completely unafraid of poison. When Qianbing's white scorpion god's poison dragon's power completely erupted, Kong Shinmu's entire body was enveloped by his own blood-red devouring power, swallowing the white poison cloud that had spread to the surroundings. It's a pity that the white scorpion god poisonous dragon is immune to all poisons. Even if I devoured this power, I won't be able to threaten it at all. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. He felt that it was a little tricky. In the current situation, it was definitely impossible for Qianbing to defeat him. After all, he had already devoured so much of the white scorpion god's poison dragon's power. His resistance towards poison had become even stronger than before. This Qianbing would definitely not be able to hurt him. This was something Kong Shinmu was sure of. But conversely, he couldn't hurt Qianbing. If it were any other opponent of the same level, Kong Shinmu would directly devour the opponent's power and then counterattack, most likely killing the opponent. However, he could not do it to Qianbing. This was because Qianbing's white scorpion god poison dragon was immune to all poisons. This immunity was even stronger than Kong Shinmu's. She was able to resist the poison and use it. Even if Kong Shinmu used this power to counterattack, he wouldn't be able to do anything to Qianbing. The key was that this round was his challenge to Qianbing. Therefore, he had to defeat Qianbing. Otherwise, as long as Qianbing did not lose, his challenge would not be considered a success, and he would not be able to replace Qianbing and enter the Fecta zone. This is a little tricky. It seems like we can only fight a war of attrition. Kong Shinmu sighed. Originally, he did not intend to use this tactic. After all, it was too time-consuming. If he wanted to completely exhaust an opponent like Qianbing, it would probably take 2 hours. Of course, this was the only way for Kong Shinmu now. Although it was difficult to fight like this, it was fine as long as they won. The Academy tournament did not allow the use of Dawn and the like, so Kong Shinmu was not anxious. Once Qianbing's strength was exhausted, she would definitely not be able to block his attack. Even if his Void Dragon Raising Heaven Breaks attack power was not strong, it was enough to defeat Qianbing, who did not have a defensive dragon martial skill. He would have to rely on the Dark Dragon's art of filth control. The Dark Dragon filth control art that Kong Shinmu cultivated could heal his injuries and replenish the energy he had expended. In terms of stamina, Kong Shinmu would definitely not lose to Qianbing. Perhaps only Ran, who had cultivated the Dark Dragon filth mastery to the peak of the heaven rank, could compete with Kong Shinmu in terms of stamina. Next, Kong Shinmu mindlessly used Void Dragon Raises the Heavens. 6 black dragon phantoms continued to appear in the field, bursting out blood-red beams of light with the power of the Great Desolate Demon Sweeping Sword, attacking Qianbing. Qianbing had no choice but to defend passively. She was also very uncomfortable now. This was because she realized that even though Kong Shinmu had devoured her poison power, he did not use it against her at all. It was as if he knew that she had a special poison resistance. However, if Kong Shinmu continued to exhaust her like this, could it be that he was confident that he could exhaust her to death? Qianbing was very depressed. She didn't know how strong Kong Shinmu's recovery ability was, but she was sure that Kong Shinmu was a large tortoise. No matter what she did, her white scorpion god's poison dragon power couldn't corrode Kong Shinmu's body. The corrosive nature of the rebirth realm couldn't do anything to Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body. Just how many body-refining dragon martial skills has this fellow cultivated? Qianbing simply wanted to cry. If she couldn't do anything to Kong Shinmu, she could only ensure that she wouldn't be defeated. Fortunately, Kong Shinmu's current strength wasn't strong. The key was that the attack dragon martial skill he cultivated wasn't strong. It was impossible to kill Qian Bing with a mere void dragon raising heaven break. Of course, Qian Bing didn't take long to feel that something was wrong. She was constantly using the defense dragon martial skill to block Kong Shinmu's void dragon raising heaven break, and the energy in her body was constantly being consumed. But Kong Shinmu didn't seem to know fatigue. He kept using this seemingly weak dragon martial skill. During this period, Qian Bing also launched several attacks on Kong Shinmu. Unfortunately, Kong Shinmu didn't move at all. He just flew there and let her attack.
She was unable to harm Kong Shinmu in the slightest.
Such a scene not only made Qian Bing feel despair. Even the surrounding dragon martial artists could feel Kong Shinmu's shamelessness. This fellow was too tanky. His defense was too strong. He could actually block an attack from a Rebirth Tribulation Realm 3rd Stage Dragon Emperor like Qian Bing head-on. He was simply the strongest Dragon King in the world. There was no one else who could compare. Below the stage, 9th Young Master Gu sneered when he saw Kong Shinmu using such a tactic. It is said that Kong Shinmu has the talent to counterattack. However, this talent is useless against Qian Bing. Is he planning to exhaust Qian Bing to death like this? Many of the people behind him laughed when they saw this. I'm afraid so. Other than that, his attack methods are too lacking. It's basically impossible to defeat Qian Bing. That's right. Kong Shinmu seems to want to exhaust Qian Bing to death. However, Qian Bing's cultivation realm is higher than his, and the talent in her body is stronger. If Kong Shinmu wants to exhaust Qian Bing to death, I'm afraid that his own strength will be exhausted first. Many people had the same thought, and it wasn't unreasonable to think so.
After all, generally speaking, if both sides were evenly matched, the one with a higher cultivation would have the upper hand when it came to a battle of attrition. Even if there was someone who could challenge someone of a higher cultivation, as long as the one with a higher cultivation could withstand the attack, the one with a higher cultivation would definitely win in a battle of attrition.
If it was in the wild, it would depend on who had more elixirs. However, elixirs were not allowed in the Academy tournament. Under such circumstances, Qian Bing's cultivation realm was 5 levels higher than Kong Shinmu. This was a huge advantage, as expected of a Rebirth Tribulation Realm 3rd Stage opponent. In the arena, Kong Shinmu also felt that Qian Bing was too difficult to deal with. At the 3rd tier of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, the innate talent in one's body was too dense. Jiang Shenwu could barely keep up with the consumption of energy by circulating the Dark Dragon Filth Control Art at full force. However, Qian Bing seemed to have more than enough. This made Kong Shinmu rather uncomfortable. However, if this continued, he would definitely have a greater advantage with the Dark Dragon Filth controlling skill. He would defeat Qian Bing sooner or later. After all, Qian Bing was a student who had cultivated in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy for more than 10 years, almost 20 years. She could be considered as a senior student, which was why she could step into the Migres region. She did not expect that she would actually lose to a young man. Simply put, Qian Bing had probably joined the Dragon Martial Academy longer than Kong Shinmu had been born. Because of this, Qian Bing was very angry that she was actually defeated by Kong Shinmu in such a shameless manner. You win! She did not intend to give up before the strength in her body was completely depleted. However, after fighting for 2 hours, the strength in her body was finally completely depleted. She no longer had the strength to defend against Kong Shinmu's attacks. Originally, after seeing through Kong Shinmu's plan, she wanted to try her luck and see if she could drag out Kong Shinmu until he ran out of strength. Reality proved that she was thinking too much. Kong Shinmu's strength was endless with the help of the Dark Dragon Inferno spell. Even if it was depleted, he could quickly recover a portion of it, and then he could perform the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. Although the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break was only a beginner Source Dragon technique and had limited power, it also had an advantage, which was that it consumed less strength. If Kong Shinmu were to use a high-grade Source Dragon technique, he would not be able to sustain the use of a high-grade Source Dragon technique. Unless he could cultivate the Dark Dragon Inferno spell to the pinnacle of heaven level, he would not be able to support the continuous use of high-grade Source Dragon techniques. This naturally included the Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash. This high-grade Source Dragon technique would greatly improve Kong Shinmu's strength. At least, it would guarantee his ability to survive. If he wanted to use the wind shadow flowing cloud flash continuously, Kong Shinmu would have to cultivate the Dark Dragon Inferno spell to a higher level. In the future, the Dragon Martial Academy students' battlefield would definitely be in the spatial cracks outside. Compatibility was what they needed the most. Everything else could be abandoned. Others might not need to cultivate the Dark Dragon Inferno spell, but to Kong Shinmu, it was something he had to improve. He had to thank Ran Ran for teaching him this. However, Kong Shinmu had some ideas now. After all, he had seen many things, and he knew that the Dark Dragon Inferno spell was a dragon technique exclusive to the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. It could not be exposed. Ran Ran's parents are probably related to the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. However, I don't know the specifics, so it's not convenient for me to find out now. Ran Ran looks like she's 16 or 17 years old this year. In that case, I should pay attention to what happened to the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy 16 or 17 years ago if I have the chance. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. White Scorpion Qian Bing eventually used up all her energy. When Kong Shinmu used the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break again, she had no choice but to admit defeat. She could no longer maintain her defensive dragon technique, and the energy in her body was completely depleted. If she did not admit defeat, Kong Shinmu's Void Dragon Sky Raising Break would be enough to seriously injure her. If he used it again, she might be killed on the spot. Although Qian Bing was unwilling to admit defeat, she could only bow to reality and Kong Shinmu in the end. However, when she left the stage, she glared at Kong Shinmu. Kong Shinmu, I will not let you off so easily. For students in the Fecta Zone, the biggest way to improve was still in the Beast Abyss. Qian Bing swore that if she saw Kong Shinmu in the Beast Abyss, she would definitely chase him to the ends of the earth. Kong Shinmu only looked at Qian Bing and did not say anything. In Kong Shinmu's opinion, anyone who lost to him once was not qualified to be his opponent anymore. This was because his improvement speed was definitely faster than others. This was the confidence he had as a genius. Kong Shinmu wins this battle and enters the Fecta Zone. Chapter 44-41. After Kong Shinmu joined the Fecta Zone, he had to wait for others to challenge him. However, after waiting for a long time, no one came to challenge him, which surprised Kong Shinmu. He did not expect that after he defeated White Scorpion Qian Bing, the others would treat him like a ferocious tiger and would not dare to challenge him. On one hand, White Scorpion Qian Bing was not a weakling. Among the 27 students in the Fecta Zone, she was definitely among the top 10. On the other hand, even White Scorpion Qian Bing was defeated by Kong Shinmu. How could the others have a chance to defeat Kong Shinmu? Kong Shinmu was too powerful, at least in the Fecta Zone, so nobody would challenge him. Those who wanted to join the Fecta Zone would basically pick weaker opponents to challenge instead of provoking Kong Shinmu directly. Even 9th Young Master Gu, who had threatened to fight Kong Shinmu, was completely terrified now. This kid had the blood essence of the Dragon King and was at the peak of the Nirvana tribulation state. Yet he dared to challenge Kong Shinmu. He must be tired of living. If he really challenged Kong Shinmu, he would be out of his mind. Initially, he had not seen Kong Shinmu's strength. However, after watching the battle between Kong Shinmu and White Scorpion Qian Bing, he could tell that Kong Shinmu's strength was equivalent to the 3rd stage rebirth state Dragon Emperor. Even in another 5 or 10 years, 9th Young Master Gu might not be able to reach Kong Shinmu's current level. Initially, 9th Young Master Gu was very confident. As the descendant of a hidden dragon martial artist family, he had enjoyed a lot of cultivation resources since he was young. On average, he had more resources than ordinary students in the Dragon Martial Academy. Under such circumstances, he was naturally stronger than the average student. According to the original standards, it would not be a problem for 9th Young Master Gu to join the Yuhing Zone. Now that the zone had expanded, he could also try to challenge the Migres Zone since the quota had increased. However, the Fecta region was impossible for 9th Young Master Gu. How could he have imagined that Kong Shinmu would challenge Qian Bing, the White Scorpion of the Fecta region? As for White Scorpion Qian Bing, he did not have much of an impression. After all, he had not been here for long. He was proud and arrogant towards those who were not too strong, and did not have the mood to get to know them. However, he could also see that there seemed to be some personal grudges between Qian Bing and Kong Shinmu. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for Qian Bing to go easy on the stage. In other words, Kong Xinmu could be considered as one of the strongest cultivators in the Tianji zone. If he advanced further, he could very well reach the Tianxian zone. Of course, Kong Xinmu doesn't want to go to Tianxian district now. Otherwise, he might really be able to defeat some of the weaklings in Tianxian district. The prerequisite was that the opponent's talent was countered by Kong Xinmu. For example, the three-eyed demon spirit was countered by Kong Xinmu. Its attack and speed were top-notch, but its defense was lacking. Such an opponent was the easiest for Kong Xinmu to deal with. Moreover, if Kong Xinmu challenged the opponent 2 more times, he could first accumulate his resistance to the opponent's talent, and then challenge the real opponent in one fell swoop for the 3rd time. It was very likely that he could defeat some of the weaker students in Tianxian district. However, Kong Xinmu felt that it was not necessary. At present, the students in Tianxian district had to be forcibly sent to the void crack. This was enough for Kong Xinmu. He wanted to reach the level of the Dragon Emperor. During this period, he could also improve the Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash, a high-level dragon origin skill. If he could cultivate it to the Heaven Realm, then Kong Xinmu could boldly run to the void crack to train. Kong Xinmu was not particularly afraid of death. The key was the black dragon's consciousness in his body. It was a bit strange. He did not want to cause any trouble. Since no one challenged him, Kong Xinmu was also happy to be free. He watched the battle from the sidelines and found that he could defeat most of the students in Tianji district, except for a few students who specialized in defensive dragon martial skills, which was a bit tricky for him. Dragon warrior students who had cultivated this kind of defensive dragon martial skill to the acme of perfection were basically the core of the team. When they fought, they only needed to focus on defense and leave the attack to their friends. For example, the previous duo of Kong Xinmu and Xiao Yuhua. Such an opponent would usually cultivate some healing dragon martial skill or recovery dragon martial skill. Therefore, it was also very difficult for Kong Xinmu to defeat them. If the opponent challenged him, they would definitely not be able to defeat him, but he would also not be able to defeat the opponent. Once they went on the field, they would be staring at each other, and the outcome could be determined for 10 days or half a month. Therefore, students basically did not want such a situation to happen. Of course, it was also very difficult for these dragon warrior students who cultivated this kind of defensive dragon martial skill to defeat others. It was extremely difficult for them to go to the more core area to train. Generally speaking, when their teammates reached the Tianji district, this kind of defensive type students would only reach the Tianji district, which was 1 level lower. This was also their disadvantage, and the school tournament clearly stated that they could not go easy, so their teammates could not help them advance to the next level. Now, there were 2 such dragon warriors in the Tianji district where Kong Xinmu was. They barely managed to challenge and defeat the weaker opponents in the Tianji district, but the teammates who usually worked with them were all strong people in the Tianji district. Their fighting style was somewhat similar to that of Kong Xinmu, which was to use defense to exhaust the opponent's strength, and when it was almost exhausted, they would defeat the opponent in one fell swoop. Not everyone's offensive dragon martial skill was as weak as Kong Xinmu's Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. Some dragon warriors who were proficient in defensive dragon martial skills also had extremely outstanding offensive dragon martial skills, but such cases were relatively rare. After all, it required a lot of time for a dragon warrior to practice 2 different types of dragon martial skills, and it was not something that could be done in a short period of time. For example, Kong Xinmu wanted to practice Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Art and Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash at the same time, and it took him 5 months just to reach the human level, which was considered fast. If it was someone else, perhaps 2 moves would take a year. To cultivate 1 move to the peak of the heaven level, it would take 3 to 5 years, or even 10 years was not considered long. If it was 2 moves, it would probably take at least 10 to 20 years. How could an ordinary dragon warrior have so much time? If they had so much time and talent, the grade of their divine dragon blood essence and cultivation realm would have long surpassed that of ordinary students. Until the end of today's school tournament, no one came up to challenge Kong Xinmu. The battle between him and Qian Bing was really uncomfortable, and no one wanted to have such a painful experience like Qian Bing. Kong Xinmu had no choice but to step down. Chapter 44-42. The second day was the day of the Migres district competition. There were a total of 45 places in the Migres district. Just like the day before, the participants would be chosen in the morning, from the original Yuhing district and Kaiyang district students. In the afternoon, it would be the challenge.
Ran's original target was the Migres district, but she was originally from the Alcade district, and was not qualified to enter the Kaiyang district. She could only wait for the afternoon challenge. Originally, young Master Gu and young Master Liang wanted to challenge the Migres district. But they realized that the students in the Migres district were too strong. Even Ran did not challenge the students in the Migres district. If the two of them challenged, they would be courting death. Hence, they could only challenge the Migres district first. If not for the expansion of the district, these two fellows would at most be able to make it to the Yuhing district. Due to the large number of slots available, the Migres area's challenges continued for 2 days. Ran directly challenged a female student and succeeded, occupying her position. Then within 2 days, she consecutively accepted 3 challenges, winning all of them. After 2 days, Ran finally gained a foothold in the Migres district. Kong Shin-mu, Migres district. Ran, Migres district. Liang Xiao, Migres district. It had to be said that Liang Xiao's progress was too fast. Even Ran's speed of improvement was only about the same as Liang Xiao's. It could be seen that Liang Xiao's cultivation talent was really terrifying. As for Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white, they were both students in the Migres district, and ranked near the bottom. After all, the 2 girls had improved greatly. Xiao Yuhua was already at the first tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm. She had already cultivated the high-grade origin source dragon martial technique, Phoenix Dance of the Burning 9 Heavens, to its peak. She had also cultivated a defensive dragon martial technique. Although she was still a Dragon King level divine dragon's blood essence, her strength was not far from that of some dragon emperors. Some students in the Migres district spent all their time on improving their divine dragon blood. But Xiao Yuhua spent all her time on improving her Phoenix Dance of the Burning 9 Heavens. To be able to cultivate a high-level divine dragon technique to the peak of the heaven level, Xiao Yuhua could beat most students. Even in the Migres district, not many students could do that. For example, White Scorpion Qian Bing, who had been cultivating in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy for more than 10 years, had only managed to cultivate a mid-level divine dragon technique to the peak of the heaven level. The difficulty of cultivating a high-level divine dragon technique was several times that of a mid-level divine dragon technique. Therefore, Xiao Yuhua directly stepped into the Fecta region with the help of the Phoenix Dance, incinerating the 9 heavens at the peak of the heaven stage. As for the girl in the white dress, she had reached the 2nd level of the rebirth tribulation realm. She had used the experience points from the last demonic beast experience to exchange for a set of 3 heaven-ranked dragon weapons. In the past half a year, she had been training with these 3 heaven-level dragon weapons. Now, she could already unleash 70% of the power of these 3 heaven-level dragon weapons, causing her fighting strength to become extremely terrifying. The expansion of the district quota allowed her to reach the level of the Migres district. She had challenged her limits in the demonic beast training with Kong Shin-mu, and killed the 6th-level intermediate devil spirit. She had gained at least twice as many points as the other students. Therefore, the improvement she obtained from this experience was naturally extremely great. Xiao Yuhua, the girl in the white dress, Kong Shin-mu, and the other 5 people were the oddities in the Migres district. Only the 8 of them were qualified to stay in the Migres district because they had inherited divine dragon blood of the Dragon King level. The other 19 people all had inherited divine dragon blood of the Dragon Emperor level. Among them, Qian Bing, whom Kong Shin-mu had defeated, was one of the top experts in the Migres district. It was clear that Kong Shin-mu was one of the top experts in the Migres district. Although the inherited blood essence of the Dragon Sovereign realm was powerful, the other aspects of strength could not be ignored. Some students only cared about raising the grade of the divine dragon blood essence, and neglected the improvement of other aspects. Their actual combat strength was destined to be too weak. Now, including Ran and Liang Xiao, Kong Shin-mu finally had his own team. There were 5 of them, and they had a good relationship with each other. If they went out to train together, they would definitely work well together. Now, in front of them was the Beast Abyss. The Beast Abyss was the place where they could gain the most experience points before the Void Rift. The competition in the Beast Abyss was fierce. Many students from the Dubhe district and Tianxian district would go there. The other students could only run if they encountered them. But now, although the number of students from the Dubhe district and Tianxian district had tripled, they were all forced to go near the Void Rift to fight against the demonic beasts. Therefore, the students from the Migres district were the strongest in the Beast Abyss.
especially Kong Xinmu's team of 5. Although Ran Ran and Liang Xiao were only students from the Migres district, they were ranked at the top in the Migres district. If they worked together with Kong Xinmu's team, they would not be a burden. Instead, they would have a unique effect. If the 5 of them worked together, they could do whatever they wanted in the Beast Abyss. They did not need to be afraid if they encountered other students from the Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, there were still some demonic beasts in the Beast Abyss that could rival the students from the Dubhe district and Tianxian district. They just had to avoid provoking them. Generally speaking, if Kong Xinmu's team of 5 entered the Beast Abyss, they would not have to be as worried as Kong Xinmu had been in the Beast Abyss the previous 2 times. Let's take this opportunity to sweep the Beast Abyss and obtain as many experience points as possible. If the 5 of them worked together, some of the experience points would be divided. However, it was not a big problem for Kong Xinmu. After all, he was confident that he could bring the 5 of them and obtain more spoils of war. In any case, he would gain quite a lot, so there was no need for others to take part of it. After all, the participation of others would also increase the speed at which he obtained the spoils of war. In the future, I will have to form a team of 5 to train in the Void Chasm. Otherwise, it will be difficult to survive the attacks of a large number of void demonic beasts. Unity is strength. Kong Xinmu was very clear on this point. If Xiao Yuhua, Ran Ran, and the others attacked Kong Xinmu together, Kong Xinmu might not be their match. Just this point alone was enough. Bringing them along was not a burden, but a helper. Kong Xinmu did not go to watch the challenges after the Migres district. He took a good rest in the palace and consolidated his strength. When the competition ended, he was finally arranged to go to the palace in the Fekta district. Originally, there were many palaces in the Fekta district, and many of them were empty. However, with the increase in the number of places in the major cultivation areas, these palaces were soon filled. There were even palaces that had 2 dragon martial artists assigned to each palace. There were simply not enough palaces, and there was no time to expand the palaces in a short period of time. However, after the competition ended, with the announcement of Dean Yu Yaji, the concentration of Dragon Mark energy in the entire Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy skyrocketed by 5 times overnight. Chapter 44-43. The concentration of the Dragon Mark's energy had skyrocketed by more than 5 times overnight. Without a doubt, an existence at the level of the Peerless Divine Dragon was able to attract so much Dragon Mark energy from elsewhere. Originally, the Peerless Divine Dragon had the ability to increase the Dragon Mark's energy in the Dragon Martial Academy, but there was no need for it. It was most likely because the 4 Dragon Martial Academies in the Dragon Martial continent were not considered powerful factions, and it was not worth investing too much. However, now that the Void Rift had appeared in the sky above the Dragon Martial continent, if the Peerless Divine Dragon did not gather more Dragon Mark energy, the Dragon Martial continent might be destroyed. Since the Peerless Divine Dragon had created the Dragon Martial continent, they naturally would not sit by and watch it be destroyed. That was why the Dragon Mark's energy had increased so much. Although the Dragon Mark's energy had increased 5-fold, to the students of the various Dragon Martial Academies, the grade of the Divine Dragon's blood essence did not increase by much. The main reason was that the number of slots for the various cultivation zones in the Dragon Martial Academy had doubled, reaching 3 times the previous number. Therefore, in reality, the amount of Dragon Mark energy that every student could get was only 60% higher than before, but it was already an incredible increase. If the ordinary students cultivating in the Yuhing district could absorb the Dragon Mark's energy at a rate of 1, then Kong Xinmu, who had been cultivating in the Yuhing district, could absorb the Dragon Mark's energy at a rate of 10. Now that Kong Xinmu had gone to the Fekta district to cultivate, the overall concentration of Dragon Mark energy had increased again. His absorption speed could be said to have reached 25. This was almost 2.5 times the original speed, and the effect was very obvious. If Kong Xinmu could reach the Dubhe district, his absorption speed would most likely be around 50 times faster than when he was in the Yuhing district, or even double the current speed. Unfortunately, once he reached the Dubhe district, he would have to go to the Void Rift most of the time. He would not have the free time to cultivate in the Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, the Dragon Martial Academy would not let the students from the Dubhe district and Tianxian district train near the Void Rift all the time. Every student could apply for leave to return to the Dragon Martial Academy after killing enough void demonic creatures to cultivate, mainly to absorb the Dragon Mark's energy. Moreover, it was said that when students from the Divine Pivot and Divine Jade districts returned to the academy to absorb the Dragon Mark's energy, their absorption speed would increase to a certain extent. This was mainly the reward they could obtain from training in the Void Cracks. They could obtain demon hunting points by hunting void beasts, and they could use the demon hunting points to exchange for treasures that could not be exchanged in the Dragon Martial Academy. Unfortunately, Kong Shinmu did not plan on hunting void demons for the time being. To him, that was a little too ambitious. It was better for him to go to the Beast Abyss to train and strengthen himself first. About a year more. 1 year later, I will be able to participate in the school competition and strive to enter the Heaven Center District. 1 year later, Kong Shinmu's goal was the core of the Heaven's Pivot District. If this was known to others, it would be hard to believe, and some might even sneer at him. Going from the Fecta region to the Heaven Center region in a year was practically a pipe dream. It had to be known that it had taken top geniuses like Feng Ligay and Yu Tiangshang several years to go from the Fecta region to the Heaven Jade region, and then from the Heaven Jade region to the Heaven Center region. It was almost impossible to complete such a leap in just a year. But what others could not do, it was not impossible for Kong Shinmu. After all, Kong Shinmu had the devouring talent, and he could lead the team to monopolize the Beast Abyss, so it would be relatively easier for him to gain experience points. It was not impossible for him to reach the strength of the Heaven Center region in a year. Of course, Kong Shinmu was not 100% sure that he could achieve it. There were 9 places in the Heaven Center region now, 3 times more than before. But every cultivator in the Heaven Center region was the best among the students, and they basically had divine dragon blood at the level of the Dragon Emperor. Moreover, they were at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm and above. The Dragon Emperor's blood might even be at the 3rd or 4th level. It would be rather difficult for Kong Shinmu to catch up to them. Now that I'm in the Fecta region, I can spend half a year to absorb the Dragon Mark's energy. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. His current divine dragon blood was at the 6th level of the Dragon King. If he wanted to reach the Dragon Emperor's level of divine dragon blood, he would have to upgrade it 4 more times. In the past, these 4 upgrades might have taken him 2 to 3 years. But now, he only needed less than a year. Of course, the prerequisite was that he would not encounter a bottleneck in breaking through. With Kong Shinmu's talent, it was unlikely that he would encounter a bottleneck. Moreover, Kong Shinmu could not always cultivate in the Dragon Martial Academy and absorb the Dragon Mark's energy. He had to lead the team to the Beast Abyss and train himself from time to time. After all, his Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique and Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash could only be improved through actual combat. Among them, the Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash improved faster through actual combat. On the other hand, the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique required him to experience all kinds of attacks, allowing his Divine Dragon Body to withstand the destruction of all attributes. Finally, he could absorb the Primordial Tyrant Body Beast's energy to break through. Therefore, it would be difficult for Kong Shinmu to improve his Advanced Origin Source Dragon Martial Technique if he stayed in the Dragon Martial Academy. If he stayed in seclusion, he might need 1 to 2 years to improve these 2 martial techniques to the Earth grade. That was too slow for Kong Shinmu. Therefore it was necessary to go out and train. Moreover, Kong Shinmu wanted some experience points to exchange for some treasures that could help him absorb the Dragon Mark's energy faster. For example, some medicinal pills that could help the Divine Dragon Body absorb the Dragon Mark's energy faster. Another example was that some natural treasures contained the Dragon Mark's energy. If he absorbed them, it could also speed up the advancement of Kong Shinmu's Divine Dragon Blood Essence. Ordinary students rarely exchanged for natural treasures that contained the Dragon Mark's energy. That was because the speed at which they obtained experience points was too slow. And the speed at which Kong Shinmu obtained experience points was definitely several times faster than ordinary students. If he went to the Beast Abyss, as long as his luck wasn't too bad, he would be able to obtain a lot of experience points and exchange them for treasures with Dragon Mark's energy. It wouldn't be a waste of his time. Instead, it would shorten the time it took for his Divine Dragon Blood Essence to advance. I'll cultivate for a period of time and break through to the 7th level of the Dragon King's Blood Essence. Kong Shinmu made his decision. Next, he got Ran Ran, Liang Xiao, Xiao Yuhua, and the girl in white to stay in the academy to absorb some Dragon Mark's energy so that the Dragon King's Blood Essence could advance by 1 level. Of course, the speed at which they absorbed the Dragon Mark's energy was definitely not as fast as Kong Shinmu. It could only be said that they improved as quickly as possible.
All dragon martial artists knew that if they relied solely on the treasures of heaven and earth with the energy of the dragon mark to raise the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence, the divine dragon's blood essence would not be as pure. Even if they broke through to the Dragon Emperor realm in the future, their power would be lower than that of other dragon martial artists. Generally speaking, it was best to rely on natural treasures to absorb dragon mark's energy not to exceed half of the divine dragon blood essence's grade.
Otherwise, it would affect one's strength. Anything below half would not be affected.
Therefore, in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, where the new and old students were at odds with each other, Kong Shinmu had never been disturbed by anyone.
It was rather quiet. They're out.
When Kong Shinmu's group of 5 headed to Emperor Shi's formation, 2 new students saw them secretly. They immediately left from a hidden spot near Emperor Shi's formation, wanting to inform someone. Not long after, the 2 new students saw 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang, who were drinking and having fun with several young girls. 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang were now students in Yuhing District. They were considered mid-level students in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Moreover, they came from hidden dragon martial arts families and were the direct descendants of their respective families.
Naturally, their statuses were distinguished.
Not to mention the new students who were selected from the Dragon Emperor's kingdom. Even some of the old students thought highly of these 2 people. Today, 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang held a banquet together. They invited many graceful and beautiful young dragon martial artists to drink and have fun together. Of course, those young female students who had surpassed Yuhing District would not be interested in these 2 fellows. On the other hand, those young female students who had always been in Yaoguang District and had tried their best to improve themselves ran over to seduce these 2 young masters. They planned to fight for some cultivation resources so that they could improve themselves. They knew what kind of price they would have to pay, but they didn't think that it was inappropriate. After all, the dragon martial artists respected the strong. As long as they could become stronger, they were willing to pay any price. 9th Young Master Gu, Young Master Liang, Kong Shinmu has gone to Emperor Shi's formation with his men and has disappeared. The 2 new students who had been monitoring Emperor Shi's formation came to 9th Young Master Gu's palace. They immediately went to his side and whispered into his ear.
How many of them?
9th Young Master Gu's face instantly lit up and he asked in a low voice.
A total of 5 people. Kong Shinmu is the strongest.
The rest, in my opinion, are all useless. The new student chuckled.
Young Master's arrangements can be put to good use. I think they are most likely going to Beast Abyss.
This time, Kong Shinmu will definitely not come back alive. It seemed that they had made arrangements in Beast Abyss. Only students of Dragon Martial Arts Academy could enter Beast Abyss. However, it was not limited to students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Therefore, if they wanted to make arrangements, they could indeed arrange for some strong students to enter Beast Abyss and attack Kong Shinmu. If he killed Jiang Xinwu in the Beast Abyss, no one would be able to detect it. On the surface, 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang did not have any conflict with Kong Shinmu. However, they still adored Ran Ran. If they wanted to get Ran Ran, they had to kill Kong Shinmu. Moreover, they could not expose that they were the ones who attacked Kong Shinmu. Kong Shinmu had cultivated in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy for 20 days. Now that he had finally left the academy, he had given them a chance. Everything they had done against Kong Shinmu had been carried out in secret. Apart from their own people, no one else knew. Therefore, Kong Shinmu and the other 4 did not know that someone had already arranged for them to enter Beast Abyss. The 5 of them passed through Emperor Shi's formation and appeared in Beast Abyss. When they opened their eyes, the 5 of them realized that a desert had appeared in front of them. Beside the desert was an ocean covered by dark clouds. The ancient Nether Sea Road.
Chapter 44-45.
It's the ancient Nether Sea Path. Kong Shinmu saw the scene in front of him and said directly, "To be honest, we haven't been to the Beast Abyss much."
Xiao Yuhua looked around curiously.
"I heard that the left side of the ancient Nether Sea Path is the barren desert, and the right side is the Nether Sea. Both are dangerous areas with many powerful demonic beasts. The Raging Flame Desert and the Nether Sea.
Kong Shinmu had spent a lot of time in the outskirts of the raging flame desert.
Now that he was revisiting this place, his strength was at least 10 times stronger than before.
Moreover, he had 4 companions. Even if he encountered some demon emperors, he could kill them head-on.
As long as they were not demon emperors above the 4th tier of the rebirth tribulation realm, Kong Shinmu was not particularly afraid.
Let's go to the raging flame desert. Kong Shinmu quickly made the arrangements. Training in the Beast Abyss was relatively safe.
Even if they encountered danger, they could directly teleport back to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy through the imprint of Emperor Shi's formation.
Therefore, Kong Shinmu was not too worried. He led the 4 of them directly toward the raging flame desert.
Under the scorching sun, the 5 of them all transformed into dragons and flew, bringing with them a strong aura that spread out in all directions. Although it was only the blood essence of the Dragon King level, the aura that they erupted still caused many demonic beasts in the outskirts of the raging flame desert to tremble.
They all hid deep in the desert, not daring to poke their heads out.
Now that Kong Shinmu's strength had increased, the insect tribes in the outskirts of the raging flame desert were naturally no longer a threat to Kong Shinmu.
He planned to head to the central region of the raging flame desert to hunt some demon emperors. Or demon kings.
Anyway, against a demon king, even if it was a 7th tier rebirth tribulation realm, he was confident that he could fight it.
The key was that his strength had increased a lot compared to before, and he had 4 companions. When their team fought against demon kings or demon emperors, their biggest advantage was to take advantage of the other party's underestimation. Now, in their team of 5, everyone could fight above their level. Therefore, if they encountered a demon king or demon emperor, the other party would most likely underestimate them. This was their chance. If he made use of his opponent's underestimation of him, he would be able to kill his opponent in one fell swoop. Kong Shinmu led the team deeper into the flaming desert.
Unbeknownst to them, in an area adjacent to the ancient Nether Sea path, 4 Fecta region dragon martial artists had already met. These 4 Fecta region dragon martial artists did not know each other, and they came from 4 different dragon martial academies.
Every dragon martial academy had a student.
The 4 dragon martial artists gathered together and looked at each other, each of them looking down on the other.
After all, the 4 dragon martial academies were competitors. This time, the 4 of us will join forces to besiege and kill Kong Shinmu.
We must kill him in one strike and not leave any loose ends.
One of the dragon warriors said. A woman's cold voice rang out. That's right.
When we train in the Beast Abyss, we can use Emperor Shi's imprint to directly return to the Dragon Martial Academy.
We have to guard against them. Isn't that up to you, Qianbing?
A man chuckled and said, White Scorpion Qianbing, I heard that you were suppressed by that brat Kong Shinmu in the Academy tournament of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy.
How unsightly.
That Kong Shinmu only joined our Donghuang Yonggu College for 2 years. You've been in the Dragon Martial Academy for close to 20 years, but you're not a match for a newbie.
Haha.
Hearing the man's chuckle, the woman who spoke earlier sneered.
What nonsense are you talking about? This Kong Shinmu is a top genius. Even your Super Dragon Martial Academy's dean couldn't kill him when he wanted to. If your Donghuang Yonggu College could use some of him, what would be left for us? How dare you insult our dean?
The man's face darkened, and his voice was cold as he looked at Qianbing.
I wouldn't dare. I'm just saying that you students are useless. You can't even share the dean's burden. Qianbing laughed coldly. She would not fall into the man's trap.
That's enough. A muscular disciple from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy pressed his hand and immediately said, Since we're traveling together, we can't fight among ourselves first.
Right now, we know their location. They're in the blazing desert beside the ancient Nether Sea path.
Qianbing. A black-veiled woman from the Southern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy said softly, You have a conflict with that Kong Shinmu, so it's best that you show up first. After all, you're from the same Dragon Martial Academy. If you're in danger, he won't leave you be, right?
That's not necessarily the case.
Who knows if that Kong Shinmu is someone who doesn't want to save me?
Qianbing glanced at her and said calmly. Of course, she knew what the other party was planning.
They wanted her to attract Kong Shinmu's attention so that the other 3 could launch a sneak attack and kill Kong Shinmu. They had the advantage of knowing the whereabouts of Kong Shinmu's group of 5.
Qianbing, you should also consider the possibility of the assassination failing.
The black-veiled woman's voice was ethereal.
She had a graceful and voluptuous figure, and her perfect curves were eye-catching. Her eyes were revealed outside the black veil. She looked at Qian Bing emotionlessly and said, "If the assassination is successful, everything will be fine. However, if the assassination fails, or if one of them escapes, won't you be exposed?" The most appropriate method is to pretend to be heavily injured to attract their attention. Even if they don't fall for the trap and get close to you, we can make them neglect their surroundings and launch a sneak attack. This way, even if the assassination fails, it won't affect your status in Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy. What do you think? Hearing this, Qian Bing's face darkened. Obviously, the other party was right. She couldn't assassinate Kong Shinmu's group of 5 directly, and she didn't have any means to change her appearance. Even if she could change her appearance, she would use the power of the White Scorpion God's venomous dragon. Kong Shinmu had fought with her before, so it was impossible for him not to recognize her. Therefore, the black-veiled woman's words were reliable. Qian Bing was most suitable to pretend to be heavily injured to attract the attention of Kong Shinmu's group of 5. Also, it's best to keep that woman named Ran Ran alive. The young man from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy said calmly, "Therefore, even if we succeed in the assassination, Qian Bing, it's best for you to conceal yourself and not expose yourself. This is from your point of view. Moreover, isn't this the reason why we arranged for you to cooperate with us in the first place? If you can conceal yourself well, you can even continue to be with Kong Shinmu's group after we fail in the assassination and look for a second chance. Why not?" Hearing this, Qian Bing could only smile calmly. She said, "Let's do as you say." She thought to herself, what second chance? If she really succeeded in assassinating Kong Shinmu, then the reward will be hers alone, and the other 3 won't get anything. Chapter 44-46. Of course, Kong Shinmu's group of 5 didn't know that someone was plotting against them. They entered the blazing desert and hunted the demonic beasts as quickly as possible. Most of the demonic beasts in the blazing desert were extremely heat-resistant. There were insect-like demonic beasts with carapaces, worms like sandworms, and sand beasts with extremely thick skin. These sand beasts could store large amounts of water in their bodies, so they could survive in the blazing desert. Kong Shinmu's group killed their way over and encountered many Demon King-level demonic beasts. These demonic beasts were basically at the 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. There were all kinds of demonic beasts from the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. To Kong Shinmu, demonic beasts of this level posed no difficulty. Even if he was alone, he could finish them off. Now that the 5 of them formed a team, it was even easier to finish off a Demon King of this level. Even the relatively weaker Ran Ran and Liang Xiao could fight against a 6th-level Rebirth Tribulation Realm Demon King if they joined forces. It was a little difficult to defeat them, but with Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl around, they didn't have to worry about not being able to kill their opponents. As for Kong Shinmu, he was undoubtedly the backbone of the team. Other than Kong Shinmu, the only male among the 5, Liang Xiao, admired Kong Shinmu from the bottom of his heart. It was more efficient for the 5 of them to hunt demonic beasts together, but there was a drawback. The experience points they obtained had to be divided into 5 portions. However, before they set off, they agreed that each of them would get different portions. They divided the experience points into 15 portions, with Liang Xiao and Ran Ran getting 2 portions each, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl getting 3 portions each, and Kong Shinmu getting 5 portions each. The 4 of them unanimously agreed and recommended that Kong Shinmu was qualified to get this distribution. Ran Ran even felt that Kong Shinmu getting 1/3 was considered too little. After all, if Kong Shinmu came alone, he could easily finish off those Demon Kings. Once they encountered a Demon Emperor, they would need Kong Shinmu's main fighting force. Otherwise, it would be impossible to defeat a Demon Emperor. No matter what, the 5 of them had agreed to this method of distribution. Kong Shinmu couldn't possibly share it with them. After all, Kong Shinmu needed a lot of experience points, even more than the others. After he reached the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation stage, he noticed something. Even though his devouring energy was able to completely devour the energy of the heavens and the earth from some treasures of heaven and earth, the total amount of energy he required to raise his cultivation level exceeded that of others. This puzzled Kong Shinmu. Although the devouring power was very strong, it was much more difficult to improve compared to other innate powers. This was considered fair for the other dragon martial artists.
It was obvious that there was a conservation of power between heaven and earth.
It was impossible to obtain stronger power for no reason. Although Kong Shinmu surpassed other dragon martial artists in the same realm, he had to put in more effort than others to reach this realm. In the blazing desert, Kong Shinmu and the other four constantly hunted sandworms and sand beasts, but they only encountered Demon King-level opponents. About 4 hours later, the 5 of them killed at least 10 Demon King-level opponents and obtained 10 demon cores. They were temporarily kept in Kong Shinmu's hands and hadn't been distributed. At this time, the 5 of them almost simultaneously discovered that there were some unnatural undulations in the desert in front of them.
There was a strong smell of blood coming from the undulations.
There's a Demon Emperor-level demonic beast hunting other demonic beasts. Kong Shinmu's expression changed slightly. He carefully sensed the aura and discovered that it was a Demon Emperor at the 3rd level of the Reincarnation Tribulation stage. Its strength was almost equivalent to White Scorpion Qian Bing. It wouldn't be easy for Kong Shinmu to kill it alone. However, with Xiao Yuhua and the others present, Kong Shinmu wasn't afraid at all. Let's go and hunt Demon Emperors. Kong Shinmu recalled the first time he came to the Beast Abyss. He was lucky enough to encounter someone hunting Demon Emperor soaring serpents. The soaring serpents were much stronger than the desert demonic beasts in front of them. It was obvious that Kong Shinmu wasn't much stronger than the students in the Fecta Zone back then. There might even be a slight gap between them. After all, he had stepped into the Fecta Zone now. However, the key was that the quota for each cultivation zone had increased. Some of the students in the Fecta Zone had even reached the core Divine Center Zone. There was naturally a gap. For example, Boulder Destiny Dragon and Wu Machin from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy were much stronger than Kong Shinmu in the Fecta Zone. They must be even stronger now. As Kong Shinmu attacked, the other 4 immediately followed. Together with Kong Shinmu, they launched a violent attack in the direction of the Demon Emperor's aura. The 5 people's dragon martial techniques descended at almost the same time. Sand billowed in the sky. In the entire desert, the Demon Emperor was blasted into a huge pit by the 5 people's attacks. The 5 Dragon Kings flew up and looked down at the sand pit. They saw a Demon Emperor sandworm in the sand pit. It seemed to be hunting 2 Demon Kings and had just swallowed them. As a result, the Demon Emperor sandworm was attacked by Kong Shinmu and the other 4 people, and its body was covered in wounds. The Demon Emperor sandworm's physical defense was very strong. However, at this moment, it was covered in wounds. It had been lightly injured by Kong Shinmu and the other 4 people's attacks. In particular, the Phoenix Dance of the Laughing Language Flowers burning the 9 heavens pattern had left countless charred marks on the Demon Emperor sandworm's body. The existence of those charred marks made the Demon Emperor sandworm suffer even more pain when it was withstanding the fire elemental power. Continue to attack and kill it. Kong Shinmu did not want to give the other party a chance to fight back. He knew that there were many groups of such Demon Emperor sandworms in the Raging Flame Desert. Most of them were at the Demon Emperor level. Once they bought some time for the Demon Emperor sandworm to escape, they would probably have to face a group of Demon Emperor sandworms. Just like the first time he came to the Raging Flame Desert. At that time, he had taken advantage of others. This time, he did not want others to take advantage of him. Therefore, under Kong Shinmu's orders, the 5 people attacked immediately. This violent attack was the most powerful attack that each of them could use, and it fell on the Demon Emperor sandworm at the same time. The terrifying power suddenly bloomed, and the entire sandpit was blasted even bigger. As for the Demon Emperor sandworm, its body became extremely weak under the attacks of the 5 people. The white-dressed girl's ice-splitting heaven-breaking slash froze the Demon Emperor sandworm's body into an ice mountain. Countless waves of hot air surged in the surroundings and howled, completely trapping the Demon Emperor sandworm, making it impossible for it to escape. Most importantly, the Demon Emperor sandworm was seriously injured. It wanted to escape, but it was frozen by the white-dressed girl's attack and could not move. Phoenix Dance of the 9 Heavens. Laughing Language Flower did not hesitate and attacked for the 3rd time. It was the same Phoenix Dance of the 9 Heavens, but it was combined with the white-dressed girl's ice reincarnation power, and it was even more powerful. In addition to the 2 previous flames. Chapter 44-47.
No one had expected that they would be able to kill the monstrous Emperor Sandworm with just 2 attacks from their joint forces. Obviously, the 5 of them working together were much more powerful than one of them alone. Good. It seems that the 4 of you are enough to deal with such a demon emperor.
I don't need to do anything at all. Kong Shinmu smiled.
Obviously, apart from him, the other 4 members of the team were not weak. Just now, Kong Shinmu had only used the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword to launch 2 virtual dragon sky roaring breaks, which were not very powerful. The most important thing was that the Demon Emperor Sandworm could not resist the attacks of the other 4. Killing a Demon Emperor at the 3rd level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm with 2 attacks was quite a good result. It could be considered that the Demon Emperor Sandworm was killed directly without giving it a chance to escape.
Next, it was time to harvest. Kong Shinmu took the lead and flew down.
He did not deactivate his divine dragon form, but approached cautiously, in case there was a sudden attack from below the desert. After all, there were many demonic beasts with strong concealment abilities in this desert. It was impossible to guard against them. Even Kong Shinmu might not be able to perceive the existence of the other party.
But at this time, he worried too much.
If there were other demonic beasts lying in ambush below, it would not have been so peaceful when they attacked the Demon Emperor Sandworm.
Soon, Kong Shinmu took out the demon cores of the Demon Emperor Sandworm.
At the same time, he found that the Demon Emperor Sandworm had just swallowed the Demon Emperor Sandworm's Demon Emperor Sandworm and had not had time to digest them. Just now, their attacks had torn the Demon Emperor Sandworm into pieces, and the 2 demon cores had rolled out, which was an extra harvest. It's been less than 6 hours since we came in, and we've already gained quite a lot from hunting demonic beasts.
Kong Shinmu was quite happy. Even if he could only get 1/3 of it, it was still a very big income.
It would have taken him at least a month of hard work to get the experience points he had gained in the Yuhing district. Even if it was an ordinary student in the Fekta district, it would take him 7 days to get the experience points by completing the experience points.
This was only their harvest in 6 hours.
For Kong Shinmu, this rate of harvest was not bad. At this rate, he only needed to stay here for half a month to accumulate enough experience points to exchange for treasures of heaven and earth. This would allow his Dragon King level blood essence to break through to the 7th level. After the 5 of them killed the Demon Emperor Sandworm, they continued to fly deeper into the flaming desert. Clearly, the Demon Emperor Sandworms in this place were not their limit. They could still hunt and kill stronger Demon Emperors. As long as they could kill stronger Demon Emperors, they would gain even more. Even if the level of the Yao core was only 1 level higher, the value would be doubled. With their current abilities, they could definitely try to deal with experts at the 4th or even the 5th tier of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm like the Dragon Emperor. Kong Shinmu's limit was to devour the power of a 4th tier Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Demon Emperor and make it his own. As for a 5th tier Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Demon Emperor, once it appeared, even Kong Shinmu had to deal with it carefully. If he was not careful, his head would be separated from his body. After all, Kong Shinmu's Divine Dragon Tyrant body technique had not been cultivated to the great success stage, so his body could not completely withstand such a strong attack. However, before they could see the next Demon Emperor, an unexpected scene suddenly appeared in front of them. They saw a familiar figure of a white divine dragon suddenly appear in the flaming desert not far in front of them. It collapsed on the surface of the flaming desert, seemingly unconscious. It's White Scorpion Qian Bing.
Everyone's expression changed slightly. They did not expect to meet White Scorpion Qian Bing here. Why was Qian Bing here?
Be careful, don't fall into Qian Bing's trap. Everyone knew what kind of character White Scorpion had. They all looked at each other and became vigilant. If he had seen any other dragon martial artist student collapsing in the desert, Kong Shinmu would have already transformed into a dragon and gone over to check. After all, he was skilled and daring. His black dragon body's defense was extremely strong, so he did not need to worry under normal circumstances. But now, the person who appeared in front of them was White Scorpion Qian Bing. This woman had always had a bad reputation, so it was impossible for Kong Shinmu to run up to her casually. Could it be that she was attacked and fell here?
Or is it just a trap to lure us over? Everyone secretly guessed.
However, just as they were guessing where they were, a vortex of a formation suddenly appeared in the nearby desert. This formation vortex brought with it rolling yellow sand, and in an instant, Jiang Shenwu and the other 4 were shrouded within it. At the same time,
Countless yellow sand condensed into incomparably sharp sword chi brilliance, sweeping towards Kong Shinmu's group of 5. This was a trap, an ambush. It's an array ambush. Kong Shinmu's face darkened. With a dragon roar, his black dragon body swung its tail, directly blocking the other 4. But even so, he could only help them block the attack from one side. He could not block the attack from the other side. Seeing that the situation was critical, the other 4 did not hesitate at all. Each of them displayed their defensive dragon skills and blocked the yellow sand sword chi brilliance from the other side. Moreover, Ran Ran had also cultivated the chaotic dragon body to the heaven tier. At this moment, she directly blocked the attack from the other side with Kong Shinmu. Die! It was also at this moment that a violent roar erupted from the yellow sand. It was an earth divine dragon, hiding in the yellow sand and suddenly exploding. Or rather, this earth divine dragon had transformed into the form of yellow sand and blended into the blazing desert. So Kong Shinmu and the others did not notice it. One had to know that Kong Shinmu's perception was extremely strong, but he did not notice this earth divine dragon. This showed how powerful its concealment and camouflage ability was. At this moment, Kong Shinmu did not know the identity of the other party. He only knew that he had been ambushed. Since that was the case, he would fight back. The violent yellow sand sword chi brilliance was like the sharpest weapon in the world, slashing at the divine dragon bodies of Kong Shinmu and Ran Ran. Then, on Ran Ran's body, deep bloody wounds were left. Even Kong Shinmu suffered some minor injuries from the other party's attack. One could imagine that the other party's strength was even stronger than White Scorpion Qian Bing. It was a pity that the demonic beasts in the blazing desert were basically earth demonic beasts. In the past 6 hours, Kong Shinmu had already devoured a lot of earth elemental power, so his resistance to earth elemental power had reached the extreme. Therefore the other party's attack, which was supposed to kill, did not kill Kong Shinmu. Chapter 44-48. Then, a khaki berserk dragon appeared in front of Kong Shinmu and the others. Wild Sand Sword Dragon. This person was from the Northern Wilderness Dragon Martial Academy. He was a burly man with a sturdy body. He was a student from the Fekta district. Who are you? Kong Shinmu blocked his opponent's attack and looked sideways. He breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that Ran Ran was fine. His divine dragon eyes were cold as he looked at the khaki berserk divine dragon that appeared in front of him. The wild sand sword dragon was a little stunned. He did not expect that his carefully arranged ultimate attack would fail to kill Kong Shinmu, and even Ran Ran was only seriously injured. Their target was Kong Shinmu. As for Ran Ran, it was best not to kill her. But in this situation, as long as they could kill Kong Shinmu, it did not matter what happened to the others. If they could protect her, they would. If not, there was nothing they could do. The key was that Kong Shinmu was unharmed. How was that possible? Wild Sand Brilliant Sword Dragon's heart sank. He had set up a spirit array here, and with the support of the spirit array, he was able to unleash such a powerful attack. It has reached the level of a Tianxian student. If he had the time to set up a formation during the school tournament, he could have reached the level of a student from the Heavenly Jade District if he had used his full strength. At this moment, he was unable to hurt Kong Shinmu, which undoubtedly made his face extremely ugly. However, he did not panic. When he heard Kong Shinmu's question, he smiled awkwardly and said, "Sorry, I mistook you for someone else. I am a group of students from the Northern Wilderness Dragon Martial Academy who were ambushing here. Sorry." Hearing his words, the other 4 people except for Kong Shinmu were relieved. Since he was not targeting them, it would be easy to deal with them. However, Kong Shinmu's expression turned cold. He felt that this guy was obviously lying. One had to know that the Beast Abyss was a special place. If they really wanted to ambush their opponents here, they had to be absolutely sure. If they failed, their opponents would be able to escape. Furthermore, they would have to be extra careful in the future. The chances of success would be extremely low. Therefore, if the Wild Sand Glorious Blade Dragon was really ambushing students from the same academy, it would definitely find another opportunity and not choose a place like the Beast Abyss. What's more, Kong Shinmu and the others' divine dragon aura couldn't be more obvious. How could they mistake something so simple? Just as Kong Shinmu's face turned cold and he was about to expose his opponent, Two tornado-like attacks suddenly swept towards him from below and above his head. Another surprise attack. This time, what appeared above their heads was a pitch-black dragon emperor powerhouse. It was also in the Fekta region, and possessed a cultivation of the third tier of the Samsara realm. At this moment, pure dark energy erupted from it and covered the sky of the nearby scorching desert. Only the shadow of a storm was cast. This storm shadow was like a storm that could destroy everything. It swept towards where Kong Shinmu was. After the wild sand glorious blade dragon's attack, Kong Shinmu and Xiao Yuhua's group had inadvertently separated a little. As a result, this time, the attacks from above and below their heads were directly aimed at Kong Shinmu alone. As for the power that swept up from below Kong Shinmu's feet, it came from a green divine dragon. Its entire body was covered in green whirlwinds. Countless storm tornadoes mixed with countless wind blades swept up. As expected, it's coming for me. Kong Shinmu's face darkened. When he realized that the two attacks were aimed at him, he instantly understood the other party's goal. The black dragon above his head was from the Northern Wilderness Dragon Martial Academy, and the wind dragon below his feet was from Donghuang Yonggu College. This time, the three dragon martial academies had actually joined forces to deal with him? No, there's still one more. Kong Shinmu subconsciously looked at White Scorpion Qianbing, who had fainted on the ground. White Scorpion Qianbing was still unconscious in the desert. However, Kong Shinmu knew that Qianbing was definitely one of the assassins. Obviously, assassinations in the Beast Abyss were much more difficult than assassinations in the outside world. They had to kill in one hit. Otherwise, the target might very well return to the Dragon Martial Academy through Emperor Shi's seal. If that happened, the assassination would fail and the opponent would be alerted. Although White Scorpion Qianbing did not attack and only pretended to be unconscious in the desert, her purpose was to attract the attention of Kong Shinmu and the others. No matter what Kong Shinmu and the others thought, when they saw White Scorpion Qianbing unconscious in the desert, they would definitely be distracted for a moment. No matter how they guessed, when White Scorpion appeared in front of them, they would have to think about something. Taking this opportunity to launch a surprise attack, they could make Kong Shinmu and the others have no time to think about anything else. They could only take their attacks head-on. It was a well-planned plan. However, the first attack failed, so they could only launch a second attack. The success rate of the second attack was much lower. This was because Kong Shinmu must have been prepared. Seeing that he could not win, he would definitely activate Emperor Shi's seal and return to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. They were just taking a gamble. They were betting that Kong Shinmu was very confident in himself and was willing to stay behind and take their attacks. After all, entering the Beast Abyss once would cost experience points. No one wanted to waste these experience points. Most importantly, each student could only enter the Beast Abyss once a month. After entering once this month, they would not be able to enter again. It would be a waste of time. Therefore, although there was no danger to one's life in the Beast Abyss, that was only relatively speaking. Throughout history, many dragon martial artist students had been killed in the Beast Abyss due to greed, reluctance, and other emotions during their training. Therefore, the other party was betting that Kong Shinmu also had the same greed and reluctance. Two attacks came from above and below. As for the wild sand brilliant sword dragon, it did not attack again. After all, it realized that its attack had no effect on Kong Shinmu. It just stood at the side and blocked Xiao Yuhua and the others who wanted to help. Although the wild sand brilliant sword dragon could not do anything to Kong Shinmu, it was still a great threat to Xiao Yuhua and the others. After all, it had set up the yellow sand sword formation here. Its battle prowess was directly increased by 2 or 3 times. If it really wanted to kill Xiao Yuhua and the others, it would be possible to succeed after 2 more attacks. With the wild sand brilliant sword dragon blocking, even if Xiao Yuhua and the others wanted to help Kong Shinmu, it was too late. They could only watch as Kong Shinmu faced the 2 waves of attacks alone. You guys are too naive. Kong Shinmu sneered. Until now, there was really no student in the Fekta district who could kill him. That White Scorpion Qianbing was already considered one of the stronger ones in the Fekta district. Even if the 2 people attacking Kong Shinmu were the strongest in the Fekta district, they could not do anything to Kong Shinmu. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Guardian Stance. Kong Shinmu had never thought of escaping back to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Instead, He directly unleashed the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique's Guardian Stance. A layer of the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique's powerful strength directly enveloped Jiang Xinwu's Divine Dragon Body, doubling the strength of his physical body. Instantly, it was as solid as a fortress, like an indestructible black divine rock. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.